So they should be hearing some music or something right now. And people who show up a little bit later will hear this very conversation, if I'm not mistaken. So I wonder, I got some more testing to do before I can figure out exactly how long it takes before the people watching see it. Yeah. Maybe if I just keep talking, eventually I'll be able to see. All right, we got one person. Pumpkin Joanne, greetings, my friend. We'll do proper introductions once a fair amount of people have shown up. Hey, Sid, greetings. These watcher numbers are always a little bit off. I am the Red. Greetings, my friend. Welcome to our first ever long awaited UK time frame stream. Alex, sleepy time. Greetings, my friends. Brooklyn, hello there. Mending Wall. Yes, I'm pretty early today because today it's all about my friends across the pond. And we have a very, very special guest on the line. Beautiful Nicole, greetings. We're going to get into some stuff here shortly. Shadow of Anarchy, greetings, my friend. Let me pull up my list of topics I wanted to address. Adi Dur. That's an unfamiliar name. Greetings, friend. I love you too. Hey, you can't stick around. Try to stick around as long as I can. No problem, my friend. If you can't stick around for the whole stream, then you're welcome to check it out later on. That's totally fine too. Roxana, greetings, my friend. How are you? Spear Maiden of Art. That is a interesting name. Hello there. Linda, greetings. Yeah. Yeah, it just brings to mind a very regal image of a spear-wielding maiden. Hi and bye, Tammy. Thanks for stopping by. I've been well, Shadow of Anarchy. How are you? Hope everything's good on your end. Frosthound, greetings. This is a UK time stream. Sounds way cooler than it actually is when you say it that way, but every time I do a stream, there's a whole bunch of people overseas. I'm in Florida right now in the Eastern time zone. There's always people saying, "Hey, Mr. X, it's 2:30 in the morning or it's 3, 4 in the morning where I am." And I wanted to do a stream that was a little bit more reasonable for you guys. So here we are. Yeah, I couldn't thank you enough, Steph, for being here. Anybody who's listening, if you're not aware, this is one of my all-time favorite voices on YouTube, Stephanie Swan Quills on the line. And we're going to be talking and having a good time with everybody tonight. Nyx is not here today. She wasn't able to make it because of work, but she's here in spirit. And, but right now it's all about Stephanie Swan Quills. And I want you guys to give her a warm Mr. X Dreamers welcome. Well, it's an honor to have you here. Let's see here. Did I miss somebody? Gamer53, greetings, my friend. Sean Marie. Miss M, hello there. Oh, do you guys know each other? Oh, well, she's in, I think Pumpkin Joanne is in England somewhere. I'm not sure now that I remember. Now that I think about it. Let's see. Diego. Greetings, friend. Cindy. Oh yes. Okay. So there's a few people here. Let's get it started. The first thing I wanted to talk about. You said you were a Marvel girl. So describe to me how. I mean, I'm a DC guy myself. I like Marvel. I got plenty of love for Marvel in my heart, but I'm kind of a DC, particularly Green Lantern guy. So, how much of a Marvel fan are you?
I watched a lot of Teen Titans, Batman the Animated Series, but then as I got a bit older, I started to appreciate or just be more aware of the comics that were under the Marvel banner. So appreciating the Thor mythology and the X-Men especially. And I think just in general, I like there's more of my particular favorites in their roster of heroes. So I'm
Mm-hmm.
a little bit more drawn to the Marvel universe than the DC. So yeah,
Okay. Who's your favorite character in Marvel?
in Marvel as a whole, I'd have to say Nightcrawler, more
Oh,
likely.
you know what? You have my respect because that's. I mean, it's not common anymore. Back in the '90s, because I've been kind of into superheroes, comic book stuff since you
Mm.
know my early teens probably. And back in the day, Nightcrawler, it was kind of cliche to really like Nightcrawler, but nowadays nobody seems to really talk about him.
Yeah,
You
because
know.
in the X Men roster, he's definitely the consistent ray of sunshine amongst a group of characters that are usually very dour and it's all you know very heavy hitting and all self sacrifice and
Mm-hmm.
angst. There's so much angst, and not to say that Nightcrawler hasn't had his fair share of that, but
Mm-hmm.
he's a bit more of a swashbuckling edge to him,
Mm-hmm.
and he's fun and lighthearted without being too in your face about it. Because there's some characters that are just entirely built around being bubbly and happy go lucky, and
Yeah.
after a time you get a bit tired of them. But Nightcrawler, uh, for his character design, which I love, to his personality and backstory, even though it changes quite frequently.
Yeah.
Um, yeah, I just love him as a whole.
Yeah. He's a very interesting character, and with an extremely troubled past, and it's the whole thing with the drama with his
Mm,
parents, and you know, I haven't been a huge follower of Nightcrawler, but what I do know about him, it sucks being him. There's
mm,
the whole time where the X Men particularly were just created. It was kind of an allegory to racism and
mm,
apartheid, that type of thing. And to be not only a mutant but one that looks radically different than any other person, pretty much,
mm.
that must have been doubly difficult for him to deal with. It's pretty crazy to think about
Yeah,
that.
because when he was originally introduced to the roster, even Beast wasn't in his blue third form that we know him now. He was
Mm-hmm.
still very much human. So I think he was the first of the kind, the main central cast of the X Men that had a distinctly other appearance when
Mm-hmm.
compared to the rest of them.
Yeah. Yeah. Very, very fascinating character there.
Mm.
And it's very whatever the opposite of cliche is. It's very rare to hear people talk about him these days. So you have your brownie points for being a Marvel girl today. I
Yes,
I
off to a
grant
good
them to
start
you.
already.
Yeah. Yes. So let's see here. Stephen King movies.
Yes.
I have not seen. I tried to, but I wasn't able to see The Dark Tower. I have read like the
Mm.
first four books, but I've
Well,
seen it and Gerald's Game. which I
Cool.
think
How'd you?
I didn't. You're the one who first mentioned that to me. I had no idea about Gerald's Game. I'd never heard of it before.
Mm,
And since you mentioned it to me, I went out and watched it, and it was well, I not went out because it was on Netflix,
mm,
but I thought it was fascinating.
I didn't hear about it until one of my other friends mentioned it, and I hadn't even heard of it myself until I saw it come up in my email notifications and on Netflix that, oh, this movie's come out. So I thought,
Hmm.
oh, why not? It's a Stephen King adaptation. You know, it you can go wrong with them, but they're on a good streak, so I thought I'd check it out. And I thought it was one of the most unsettling horror movies that I've ever seen in a long time. And I seldom scare at all in
Yeah.
any kind of horror films, but there was something about the slow creeping suspense,
Hmm.
and I can't remember the director's name, but I know the other films he's done, like Oculus. He also did, which is another
Oh,
fantastic horror
okay.
film, and he's done a couple of other really really good ones. I can't put my finger on at the moment, but yeah, I just love the direction that he took the movie in, and the casting I think is impeccable. Carla Gugino is one of my favorite actresses, even though
Hmm.
I haven't seen a whole lot of her movies, but when she is in a movie, she tends to steal the show entirely.
Oh yeah, yeah. She's always a very strong presence on the screen, and I
Mm.
noticed. Well, we're not going to get into the contents of the movie because I don't want to spoil it for anybody.
Yeah.
But there's scenes where she literally looks like two different people depending on the scene. Like her face and her eyes are so expressive that
Mm.
she can totally change the character that she's playing just by the expression of her face pretty much is
Mm.
very impressive. And I will say this, there was one scene, there's something that rarely ever happens to me, and that's me seeing something that's so horrendous that it makes me want to look away from the screen. And that's only happened to me twice, and one of those times was a few days ago when I was watching Gerald's Game.
I
So,
think I know what you're talking about. And yes, that was the scene where I was kind of recoiling from the screen and looking through my fingers, just like, no, no, no,
yeah,
no, 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 no,
yeah.
no, no, no.
You see, I mean, I couldn't do that, or put my hand over my face because that would just be, I would feel defeated by the movie. But and if I was to actually look away, I would feel defeated. So I keep looking at it, but I was
Mm.
cringing and wincing the entire time for what
Yeah,
felt like 2 minutes straight.
that's one of the few things that actually does make my stomach churn when it's I won't spoil it, but when it's that up close and that realistic,
Hmm.
then that's what just sends chills down my spine. But it's all in the best way because it looks so uncomfortably real,
Hmm.
and the acting just makes it even more real.
Yeah, and I'm like, my body is kind of like twisting around a little bit just thinking about that scene. So if you guys,
Mm.
anybody who hasn't seen this movie, if you have Netflix and you want to see something that's very, I mean, psychological,
Mm.
you know, thriller slash horror, you want to see something like that, you already have Netflix. You're not paying any extra for it. Please do
Mm.
yourself a favor and check it out because it is a really fascinating film. Very good.
And what I do appreciate with the new rise in the Stephen King adaptations that are coming out is even though it has been made a public announcement, but it's not being shoved in our faces yet, is that they're slowly, this is the key word,
Hmm.
trying to build a Stephen King cinematic universe with
Oh
this
yeah.
new rise in adaptations. So if you're a fan of Stephen King novels and the greater universe as a whole, you probably pick up on a few of the references in both it and in Gerald's Game, because
Yes.
they're not, unlike other studios that are trying to push this on people, like the Universal monster ones. They're not putting it in your face. They're just leaving just enough that you can appreciate the movie or TV series that they're going to do on its own, rather than feeling that you have to uh, see materials A through D in order to get E.
Right. Right. Yeah,
Mm.
and in the Dark Tower books, there are so many connections to basically every single Stephen King story.
Mm.
And as you go throughout the books, and I'm only about halfway through the series. I haven't read it in years. I kind of just, for some reason, I lost interest after a certain amount of time, like halfway through, and I never picked it back up. But I probably will one day.
Mm.
And there's even, I mean, they're small. I love that they're doing this, putting in those little small and sometimes very subtle references to other movies and other storylines and other universes within that one
Yeah.
universe. It's really, I love seeing stuff like that. Let me see here. Let's look
Like
at the chat for a second.
when I was watching, like thinking back in terms of the feel of the Dark Tower to it, to Gerald's game, even though
Mm-hmm.
they're all directed by three different people, even just the way everything, the atmosphere feels,
Mm-hmm.
it all feels like it's slightly intertwined. It doesn't feel like they're distinct polar opposites from one another. Like if one went for a completely different tone, or even if the lighting was a bit off, then it might feel little bit odd or out of place with the rest of the whole. But I hadn't read any of the Dark Tower novels before I went and saw the movie. And some people were oddly enough complaining that it was too complicated for mainstream audiences to understand, but no, everything made sense. You just had to pay attention and listen to what the movie was telling you.
Right.
Yeah.
Shadow of Anarchy says that they're going to check out Gerald's game after this. It's a good idea.
Awesome.
It will mess with your head a little bit, and the scene that I'm talking about, you'll know the scene, and if you think about it again any other time for the rest of your life, you'll probably cringe a little bit in a
Mm.
good way, though, not in a meme sort of way, but in a way that you're like, man, that was some masterful work.
Mm.
And yeah, I hear Sean Marie says that the Dark Tower series, the book series, was vastly different than the movie, and I understand that. I mean,
Yeah.
I kind of don't. It feels like, all right. I'll just ask you this, since you saw the movie and I didn't,
Yeah, sure.
Steph. Does it seem like they're trying to set up, a sequel or a series of Dark Tower films? Did
I
you get
won't
that from there?
spoil for how it ties into the series as a whole, because canonically it does tie in with the books. But what I've heard they're planning on doing is a TV series that's an adaptation of the novels
Oh,
themselves,
okay.
and then having the Dark Tower movie as like what happens after the TV series. So I'm fairly sure they've got the same cast with Matthew McConaughey and Idris Elba playing the two leads, the gunslinger and the man in black.
Oh, wow.
But I'm not entirely sure. Like, I haven't seen trailers or production photos or anything like that. It's something that's still in the works, like the Castle Rock TV series that they're working on, which is one of the settings for a lot of the big Stephen King novels. So I think I'm not even sure what they're planning on doing with that, whether they're going to do an anthology series similar to American Horror Story, where each season they adapt a book, or if it's going to be something like Medley, where they have all the characters intertwining on the streets at the same time, which I think could be quite confusing to a lot of people.
Mm,
But it's one of those things that I won't be able to like think too deeply on until we have more news come out about it, or preferably a longer trailer.
mm, mm. Well,
Um,
it's that's going to be pretty crazy if they secure Matthew McConaughey and Idris Elba for any type of serialized entertainment media. That's
mm,
going to be. I mean, they have to invest the proper amount of money to make that good.
yeah,
So I
absolutely.
hope that that's what they're doing, because if they do that, they're not going to waste the millions of dollars per episode that they're going to be spending on those two huge AAA actors.
Mm,
You know, that might be good news if they do that. I have a feeling that they're just going to, skimp on it a little bit and maybe focus on some a different set of characters or recast those characters.
mm.
And if they do that, it better be good. That's all.
I think what I heard they were saying was they were going to have younger. cast members for some of the flashbacks where like the gunslinger is younger.
Mm-hmm.
But again, I haven't read the novels, so I can't really say whether that's a good or bad decision. Um, but both Matthew McConaughey and Idris Elba have quite a bit of experience with TV, so I have no doubt in my mind that they'll be able to work wonders with a series. It's just after The Dark Tower as a movie didn't have the best critical acclaim.
Mm-hmm.
Um, that's kind of like a little bit of a worrying point whether they are going to go through with that.
Mm-hmm.
But in general, the feedback that I heard from people who saw the movie who either had read the novel and enjoyed it as its own separate thing, or people who just like genre movies, like fantasy movies like that, they kind of, and I have to agree with them, they said in the same way that Pacific Rim, when that came out, a lot of
Mm-hmm.
critics didn't like it because it was very genre specific.
Right.
And, it was telling an epic story, but maybe not in the most highbrow way that some critics now think that all movies have to try to aim for nowadays, which is frustrating.
Mm-hmm.
So if you like the kind of ideas that they go in with Pacific Rim, that it's just like sci-fi monster robot awesomeness, and you go into the Dark Tower thinking Stephen King references, dark fantasy, awesome actors, great visuals, and great combat scenes, you're
Mm-hmm.
probably going to enjoy it.
Yeah, just that's the approach that I kind of try to take with movies in general, or
Mm,
movies or TV. Like, don't take it too seriously. It's not, you know, whatever they did is probably better than what we can do ourselves as regular private citizens. So don't be too harsh. Don't be too harsh on someone else's work. That's how I kind of look at it. Just take it for what you can. Have a little fun. Unplug for a minute. Check it out. Appreciate what you can and move on. You know,
mm,
I
I agree.
never. I don't. I. It always. It's honestly kind of annoying seeing people just trash talking something when they know damn well that they couldn't do any better themselves. You know.
Mm.
I don't know.
Or they jump on the bandwagon saying, "Oh, I heard it was terrible. I haven't seen it myself, but I heard it was terrible, so I agree that it was terrible."
Yeah, well, that's the worst of the worst.
Yeah.
Yeah, that should be one of my. That would probably be one of my pet peeves. I had a couple streams ago because people always used to ask me about what my pet peeves were, and I could
Mm,
never think of anything off the top of my head. But I kind of started this thing where I would keep a notepad on my phone in Google Keep.
mm,
So whenever I thought of one, or whenever I was just out in regular everyday life, and something happened, and it annoyed me more than usual, I would just
yeah.
write that down, and then I had like 10 different things that we talked about. But I think I deleted that list. I
It got
probably
too
shouldn't
long.
have. Well, I mean, just so that I wouldn't, to make sure that I wouldn't rehash it and talk about the exact same thing again, I just got
Mm.
rid of it. Do you have any pet peeves?
Oof. Honestly, just because I've been going to the movies a bit lately, a lot of my pet peeves in terms of things that genuinely irritate me, it's usually people talking in movies. And
Mm,
if it's a huge movie where it's like the newest big blockbuster, it's completely sold out, and then
mm,
one or two people like 6 rows behind you are chatting, I'm not going to worry about that because you're surrounded by people. There's going to be a couple of people talking. Hey, maybe even you might be because you're pumped up like the rest of them. But
mm,
if you're like there on your own and there's like a group of 5 friends 2 rows behind you who won't shut up,
mm,
then that's when I constantly look over my shoulder and glare at them until they stop talking, and then I'll pay attention to the movie. Because for me, then you're just like wasting your money by having a conversation that you could be having outside the theater,
mm.
or just you paid money to sit down and enjoy it, and you're not even fully invested in it. Like,
Yeah, and I find that probably a lot of those people. Well, I mean, most of them did. You know, if it's an adult anyway, they probably paid
mm,
for the ticket. So they paid for a ticket. They go in, and then they just basically dick around with each other
mm,
instead of watching the movie. But
yeah,
here's what happened to me last night. I went
mm,
to a movie, and I went to see Blade Runner 2049. Great
It
film.
looks so good.
It was good. I thoroughly enjoyed it. It was fascinating to me from start to finish. And
Mm.
I was, hey Miss M, you're in California. That's wow. This is pretty early for you then, huh? It's like 1:30 p.m. A nerdy chick. Greetings, my friend. Uh, so I was sitting in the theater, and then I'm in like the second row from the back, the very back, highest
Mm.
row, and these two young guys come up, sit right behind me, and they're burping and making loud noises, being pretty boisterous for
Mm.
no apparent reason, joking around. I can tell that they're teenagers because of just the sheer pettiness of things that they find funny.
Yeah.
And I turned around and I said, "Hey, is this going to go on throughout the whole film, or are you guys, because this was during the trailers, they were
Yeah.
making all this noise." So I asked them. I said, "Hey, um, is this going to happen throughout the whole movie, or, are you guys going to chill out a little bit?" And one of them seemed to be completely terrified that I had even spoken to them. I don't look like the friendliest person, if
Mm.
if anyone's ever seen me. But I was cordial, and I think I was nice to them. And
Well, the glowing eyes do tend to maybe put some people off.
I if I could have that in real life, I'd pay $1,000 to get that augmentation in my head, as long as it didn't affect my normal vision. I would
Mm.
definitely do that. But actually, I have a thought about that in a few minutes. We'll talk about.
Yeah,
Um,
sure.
so the movie starts. They throughout all the trailers, they're just messing around, talking and joking around like a bunch of silly people. And when the movie starts, like 10 minutes into the movie, or maybe less, they both just get up and like kind of sneak out of the theater.
Huh.
So what I
Okay.
immediately thought, being in the field of law enforcement myself, I was like, all right, what's going on here? So I kind of like shined my phone light back there to see where they were sitting and make sure there wasn't a freaking pipe bomb or something there, or something else stupid that I didn't want to be
Mm.
involved in. And nothing happened. They just snickered off and ran out of the theater. And then
Mm.
about an hour and a half later, almost at the end of the movie, a group of girls, teenage girls, just come in and sit around that area, snickering and talking and looking at their phones. And then 5 minutes later, they run out too. So I don't know if this is like a thing that kids do, just run around and sit in movie theaters for 5 to 10 minutes at a time and then run out. But it's extremely
That
annoying.
other than like the little mix up, like you go into a movie theater and the movie previously playing is still going, and then you walk out and wait until the movie's empty and they clean up and stuff.
Hmm.
Other than that, I can't really think of why they would do that unless their movie that they saw finished and then they thought they could duck into another movie theater, just sit in the dark and mess around or something like that, and then until they got bored and decided to leave. I don't know.
Hmm. Yeah,
Kids
I
are
guess
weird.
so. If maybe that's what kids do these days. I don't know.
I don't know.
Hmm. Well, anyway, let's see. We got some comments here.
Hmm.
808-27135. Greetings. You don't like invasions of personal space. Neither do I. I don't. How is that over there in London? You're in London, right, Steph?
Yeah, that's right.
How do people deal with personal space? Because I know it's different in pretty much every country. There's different unspoken laws regarding personal space. How is it in London?
People in England tend to generally have a very good etiquette when it comes to things about personal space and getting in queues, especially. Like the entire queue will glare if one person who might be a tourist or something like that tries to sneak like in front of the queue or something like that. The entire queue will instantly be aware of it,
Mm-hmm.
and one at least one person will tap them on the shoulder and politely correct them that it starts back there. But in terms of personal space, you kind of just get used to it because I use the underground. a lot.
Mm.
And so everyone's very good at just leaving one step between each and every person, each a separate group of people that use the underground. And you kind of desensitize yourself to a bit because I'm assuming it's the same with everyone who has to take public transport. You just kind of get used to it. You apologize politely if you bump into someone or step on their toe or accidentally your bag knocks into them. But in general, there's a good level of politeness unless they're especially obnoxious or drunk.
Hmm. Okay. Well, that's. I guess that's good to know.
It's greatly appreciated.
Hey, it looks like Sid is getting out of here. Good night, Sid. Have a good
Good night.
Canadian Thanksgiving dinner. I guess I didn't know today was Canadian Thanksgiving. Hmm. Yeah. Well, about this whole personal space thing. I
Mm,
back in the day, I used to work overseas in a very bad place, and in order to get to that bad place, I had to go through the country of Dubai
okay.
as a kind of like a stepping stone to get to the other place.
Mm,
And in Dubai, in the airport, I would have to I had to go to Dubai and stay there for one night and then go to the next place the next day. And
mm,
standing in the lines or in the queue as you would call it for in the customs or whatever the case may be, that was the first time I ever had experience interacting with people that had basically no concept whatsoever of personal space.
ooh, all right.
The this and it's not every single person because there's hundreds and hundreds of different types of people
Mm,
and thousands of people a day that go through that zone there, but a lot of those people come from countries where if you're standing in the line with someone, you're basically, well, in the military we call nut to butt.
mm.
So that's for anyone who can't put that mental image together. It's when you're so close to the person in front of you that your nuts are pressed up against their butt. And so there's basically no space between you and the other person. And there are
Mm,
people, even sometimes when it's not even necessary. I mean, there's room to stand to the left, to the right. It doesn't have to be everyone actually crammed in like sardines in in between two ropes that are 5 feet apart. But people will
yeah.
just stand and like have their thigh right up against your butt cheek. And that was really bizarre to me. It kind of being an American, being used
Yeah,
to not having
understandably
that.
so.
Yeah, it's. I mean, and these are like it's not like men doing that to women, where it's kind of them trying to take advantage of something. It's just guys and women and
Mm,
women, women and men and women. It doesn't matter. It's just that's how they operate, and it was like
mm.
nothing to them. To me, I kind of had to start grilling people a little bit to make them encourage them to stay away from me by a couple of feet.
Yeah.
It wasn't that hard, but it was just weird, strange.
Mm. Well, I guess in maybe in cultures where there is such a larger population mass, then when there's a lot of people wanting to get to one place at a time, the etiquette that we may take for granted of being in long, even queues isn't really applied because I haven't really traveled a lot to a lot of places in Asia or the Middle East, whether that is usually because I know the trains and buses, say in India, for example, can get very, very heavily packed
Hmm.
with people literally being bumper to bumper against each other. So I wonder if it might be something like that. Then it's just through cultural osmosis that it's a habitual thing in the same
Hmm.
way that in the UK, even if you're not thinking about it, you automatically give that level of space. Then
Right.
for other people, you automatically not give them that space.
Yeah. I mean, I guess if you grow up, if you're a kid and your parents take you to the subway or they take you to the train or to the airport, and there
Mm,
are people pressed up against each other like sardines, you see that your whole life, you're gonna have no issue with it.
mm.
You're gonna grow up doing the same exact thing. Toriko, greetings, my friend. Glad to see you here. Hmm. As I should start saying bumper to bumper because that's a lot more of a that's a lot more civil of a way to say that.
Whatever
Yeah.
you prefer. I have to start using the other one now.
Yeah, it's that. I think there's more of a expectation of politeness where you live than where I live. So
I I live in London, the capital of overwhelming politeness.
was that sarcasm?
Maybe just a little bit.
I don't know. Whenever maybe it's a stereotype, but whenever I think of London, I think of things being all prim and proper, and just etiquette and politeness and just general niceties happening everywhere for the most part.
It
That's
it kind of depends on where you go in London, because it is such a big city that there is little just little pockets of as any major capital city would have, just different little pockets of different people. So if you want like tons of queues and lots of tourists, then you go to any of the popular locations in your guidebook. If you want more, say, where manners and like etiquette and a sense of panache and elegance might be, then there are
mm-hmm,
a couple of suburbs that you might then go, for example, to a cocktail bar in Mayfair after work or something like that. And then there's
mm-hmm,
men and women in like tailored suits and briefcases and their long umbrellas, all looking very spick and span and clearly on business, far more important than yours by the way they look at you half the time.
yeah.
But it really depends on where you go. You can walk 20 minutes from one spot to another and find yourself completely surrounded by different people.
Hmm.
Hmm.
I as you were explaining that, I just kind of noticed something because
Hmm.
when I heard that you were actually from Australia originally,
Yeah.
it certain things about your accent, your way of speaking, stood out to me. Like because I used to be a linguist. I don't know if you know that.
No, you didn't tell me that.
Yeah, I was a linguist for a few years
Hmm.
in the military, and that was one of my many things that I did there in my short time. And I have it's kind of my specialty listening for languages and stuff like that, and especially totally other languages. I can kind of place things like that pretty well. And
Yeah.
I started to pick up on certain small things that sound uniquely Australian about your accent. And
I'm
I kind of beat myself up a little bit for not having pieced that together. But I was wondering, has living in London changed your accent to a little bit more of an English accent? You think?
I find in general not really. I find sometimes when I pronounce certain words, I can't think of any off the top of my head at the moment. If I'm hanging out with all my friends who are English or they have different variations of British accents, then
Mm-hmm.
I find sometimes I'll articulate a little bit differently. But it's the same goes when I go back to Australia and I hang out with my friends, and then I find the Australianness comes back in my voice.
Mm-hmm.
But I'm just curious, what was it that you kind of picked up on that was like little pinpricks of Australianness that was still in my voice?
Oh, well, it's certain the way you say certain words that end in vowels, or I can't. I would have to actually spend some time writing it out and like really thinking about it. If I listen to like one of your stories with the express purpose of deducing that, I could do it, but it just doesn't come to my mind at the top off the top of my head. There's certain things that I notice that just sound a little bit more Australian than British to me. But I
I
talking you don't sound like a. I haven't heard extensive speaking from a lot of Australian women, but
mm,
you do have a certain British qualities to your speech.
mm.
I don't know, it's all hard to put
Um,
my finger on.
I find sometimes the one word or couple of words that I tend to stumble on with my Australian accent is when I say words that end in IFE, so words like life.
Mm-hmm.
and knife sometimes, then it's usually when I'm in the editing process of editing a narration, and then as I'm listening to it, those words kind of highlight in my head, and I think, there it is. There
Mm-hmm.
it is.
Yeah. Yeah, that's definitely one of the things I would probably say that I'd pick out. You have a question here from Miss M. How long have you lived in London, Stephanie?
Oh, I've been living in London since about September 2015, because I came over here to do my master's degree, and because I have dual nationality with the EU, so long as we're still in the EU, I can stay in London.
Mm-hmm.
So I just decided that it London had so many more opportunities for me as a writer that I decided to stay after finishing my master's. So I've been here for ooh 2 years now, and even though it doesn't feel like 2 years, so kind of the longer they take with this Brexit shenanigans, the
Mm-hmm.
longer I'm technically legally staying in the UK. So I've got a better chance of being able to register for citizenship when it comes around.
Oh, so does it look like you'll be able to do that smoothly, or is there a possibility that they might just say, "Hey, you're no longer qualified to be here, so you need to go back home"?
Um, it's the thing is, whenever news comes around, it's kind of, oh, we've decided to do this, and then 3 days later, remember how we said we were going to do this? Well, we've changed our minds to doing this instead because of a report that came from the EU, which changed our minds. It's kind of for the past year and a half been this big rubber band ball of mess
Hmm.
that no one wants to try and untangle. Um, so honestly, it feels like everyone who's involved with it is like just twiddling their thumbs, waiting for someone else to stand up and do something, like a cat with an open door that's refusing to walk through it.
Oh.
Um, so the longer they take, the longer I'm staying here, and until they finally put the foot down and say, okay, these are the documents that you need to fill out. If you haven't started living here by this year, then unfortunately you'll have to find out or figure out something else. And here is a government link to a website that can tell you on what to do.
Hmm.
But to be honest, because everything's so up in the air at the moment, there's thousands of people in my position that just have no idea what to do. So we kind of just have to wait until the big official announcement of what to do next.
Hmm. Jeez. And I wonder if the politicians and the people in power think about the impact that their decisions have on, thousands and thousands of regular people that just want
Mm.
to, they just want to have a good life. It's
I
kind of
think
sad.
maybe they think about that and then I think they forget about it a little bit too easily when it should be made much clearer and much more obvious.
Mm-hmm.
Although, hopefully, well, not hopefully, when they see the huge economic impact that this is going to have on them, they'll probably start to understand the gravitas of the decision that they made.
Hmm. Well, yep. There's usually some kind of turning point where eventually people have to say, all right, yeah, this was stupid. This was a mistake. We're just
Mm.
going to shut this down and not go forward with it. That point usually does come, but it's not always followed through on. Sometimes they'll say, you know, this is what we believe, or hey, we're getting paid by this corporation to make sure that this happens. So
Mm.
we're doing it. Sorry. I don't know how the politics work in your country, but that happens over here quite a bit. And we're not going to get too much into politics because we have another question for you from 8082 dot 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 whatever the rest of the numbers. If you don't mind, 808, please explain the significance of those numbers in your name because I don't get it.
Oh,
What do
I'm
you
really
miss
curious
from?
now.
Yeah, I hope that's not like some kind of code for something that I'm going to need to know later and somebody's testing me. I don't
Maybe
know.
if you type it into Google, Google explodes.
I have this feeling that this is how my mind works. I have this feeling that like tonight when I go to sleep, I'm going to just be awakened in the middle of the night and I'm going to be in a cargo container with a device attached to my head with a freaking 8-digit code in the room, and that's going to be the code for me to get out and avoid my head being crushed like a pumpkin. And
An agent from the deep web.
yeah,
That's who they are.
that's that's why you're here, because you and I are of one blood. We think alike.
Absolutely. Shared in spookiness.
So this person or this creature or program
This
called
entity.
is this entity, good word, is asking, what do you miss from Australia? I assume meaning Australia.
What do I miss from Australia? I think the biggest thing that I miss is my family, especially my sister, because I'm in London completely on my own. I have some relatives in the EU, but all the rest of my family is back in Perth in Western Australia. So I miss them terribly. Just yesterday, it was my sister's 22nd birthday, and even though we Skyped and we chat for a really long time, it still breaks my heart that I wasn't there to celebrate with her.
Mm-hmm.
So I do miss her terribly, and I also miss my friends that I would see on a regular basis. And I feel bad that I don't catch up with them as often as I do, because everyone has their own lives now that we're adults, so we don't really do Skype chats or really just general chats anymore. But then when I come back for Christmas, because I fly down to Australia, and
Mm-hmm.
it's like combined something of like 20 plus hours on a plane to
Mm.
get from London to Perth. So I always look forward to that each year.
Yeah,
um,
I bet.
but then I just drop a message like, hey, I'm in Perth for a couple of weeks. Are you guys going to do anything? And they just say, hey, we cancel the games for December, but we can organize a hangout or something. And then they, it's all good. And then we all just hang out and have a great time. But yeah,
Mm.
uh, miss my family. I'm just trying to think if there is anything else. I don't miss the weather. I
No,
did like it when it
it's
was
real hot there,
winter.
huh?
Oh my god, it's so hot in Australia. Because when I come back for Christmas, it's in the summer, so that gets to peaks of mid 30s Celsius to 40s Celsius. So even though you think
Mm.
that you should go outside and spend as much time in the sun outdoors, enjoy the summer as much as possible, when it's that hot, it's almost completely unbearable. And
Mm-hmm.
everyone else with common sense is inside with the air conditioner on.
Not to
Just,
mention the fact that literally every living creature in Australia wants you dead.
oh,
They
I was wondering when that would come up.
I'm amazed that anyone survives to adulthood in Australia with the number of sheer just vicious creatures there. It's actually kind
The
of
thing,
awesome. Like in if this world was a video game, you guys would be like among the most hardcore people ever.
it does condition us to be really hardcore as kids, like learning from a young age to crush spiders, no matter how big and scary they are.
Hmm.
Um, there is one kind of spider, because in general, like I'm fine with them. I'll just get the glass and the paper and the piece of paper and just like fling spiders outside. There is
Hmm.
one type of spider that I think you can only get in Australia, of course. It isn't poisonous or venomous. Forget which is which.
It just bites
It's
your whole
no.
face off or something.
It if you hold your palm, the meat of your palm without your fingers is roughly its average leg span.
Jeez.
It's not dangerous in any way. If anything, they're very common in the bushland in the countryside. So they eat a lot of like small insects, like they eat mosquitoes and flies like crazy. So they're
Hmm.
technically good, but they're just terrifying when you see one of those in the corner of your house because when they jump on you, you feel it.
Yeah, it's like somebody hitting you with a grapefruit or something.
Something like that.
I bet.
And
Oh, yeah. I
just even
wonder.
thinking about the risk and crawl.
You know what though? I mean, I don't like spiders that much, but a spider once it gets to that size and I know that it's not dangerous, it kind of seems like a decent protein source to me.
Yeah.
Like I bet I don't know what spiders taste like, but I know I've seen some spiders that have like, you crush them and there's like meat inside of them. They're
Mm,
big, and I'm sure that one has a pretty good amount of meat inside. I wonder
yeah.
I wonder what those taste like.
I think so long as it's seasoned well and cooked well, I'd be up to try like something that was properly cooked and prepared, even if it is like completely weird.
Mhm.
Just for the sake of having tried it and then going, okay, I can see why people can make this a part of a regular diet. Like it's got protein and stuff, and try and like push down the squeamishness of
Mhm.
and try and forget what it is you're actually eating.
Yeah, I mean, people have been eating things that or worse for
Mm,
generations upon generations. So yeah, all right. Let me see here. There was one other question, kind of a follow up from the Australia thing. Okay,
yeah.
when I know a lot of people, when when you go back home, if the people where you live, like me, I go back to New York, I kind of find myself speaking more like a New Yorker when I go back home or when I go back to visit my aunt or people that I grew up with up there. Do you ever feel yourself being, like when you do go there, does your Australianness and your Australian accent become more more strong, more intense?
I find sometimes, because my sister and I are very close, we have a very similar manner of speaking and the same volume of speaking. So when the two of us are talking together, we kind of match each other quite well.
Mm-hmm.
I find in general, I tend to stick of kind of what my core voice is. That and then it has a degree of flexibility depending on whether I'm with Australian friends or British friends. I do find sometimes, especially if I've had a couple of beers or something like that, then I find I get a little bit more, let's say, classically Australian. If anyone in the chat or you, Mr. Extremes, are familiar with a channel called Aussie Man,
Hmm.
who reviews Game of Thrones episodes, videos where animals fight each other, or just whatever's like currently kind of viral. Um, there have been occasions where I've gone completely into classic Aussie kind of Bogan talk.
Hmm.
Like
Oh,
Bogan's
I've.
another interesting Australian term. Bogan, it's not quite the Australian equivalent of. Okay, when you think of like the way that stereotypical American redneck would speak,
Mm-hmm.
it's almost like a balance of that in terms of the way that the accent is heavily accentuated and amplified and a bit slurred. Lots and lots of uh God, I can't remember what the term is, and I've got a master's. Fuck.
Hmm.
Uh, like just like figures of speech. Like
Mm-hmm.
whenever people make jokes about like a ton of words like in Australian, and then a ton of words that make absolutely no sense, but anyone
Right.
who's Australian instantly knows what they're talking about. That kind of talk. I do tend
Okay.
to fall a little bit more into that.
So does that um, bogan type speech, does that fall into the same kind of category where there's kind of, social stereotypes and people have a certain view of people who speak that way, like a negative stereotype, or is it a positive stereotype? Is it something people
It's a
take
little bit
pride
more.
in?
It's kind of something. It's a little bit of a negative stereotype, like when they advertise what a, a typical Australian person might look like. They've got the hat with the maybe the bits of cork in, like hanging from strings to keep the flies away from your face. They have a beer cozy with a beer in it. They on when it comes to Australia Day, they might have the flag tied around their neck, and the green and gold shorts for your favorite sports team.
Hmm.
Your I'll say flip flops because Americans are more familiar with them. We call them thongs.
Mm-hmm.
Like
I've heard of that.
yeah, um, uh,
It's
really
important
really
to
heavily
note that
sunburned.
though. I
Yep.
appreciate that because the rest of the image, and then if you just said thongs,
I
I
thought
would
I
have,
would just clarify
yeah,
for the lovely people
yeah,
in our chat.
it would have thrown me off for just a second. So I appreciate the clarification.
No
Mm,
problem. Um, but generally, it's kind of tricky to describe. But yeah, just in general, if you think of the hoons who have a little bit too vocal about uh whatever particular sport they're passionate about, it's usually football or
mm-hmm.
cricket. A bit too much, be a little bit too much patriotism. Um, then a thousand different turns of phrase in the Australian dictionary, and then you have an idea of kind of what a bogan might be.
Mm.
It's very tricky to describe. It's kind of one of those things that when you hear someone talking with a typical bogan kind of manner of speaking, you instantly like, oh, okay, that's what that is.
Mm-hmm. Okay. Well, I'm gonna find that out on in short order after this stream is done. And
Cool. I'll send you a link to Aussie Maths Channel so you have an idea.
no, I've already done that. Don't even worry about it.
Awesome.
I've already added a few of his videos just to see what's up, and I can see. So basically, bogans are kind of the Australian redneck in a way.
Yeah.
And they're almost analogous in some ways. I just saw someone, our good digital friend 808 said bogans are disgusting. So that's
Yeah.
a little harsh, but I'm pretty sure there's lots of people. I know I've heard people talk about rednecks in the same way, and
Mm.
I've known many rednecks, you know, and I had some good friends that were rednecks, even though stereotypically they're not known for getting along that well with black guys like myself. But they're not all like that. So I'm
Mm.
sure not all bogans are
Yeah.
disgusting. There's every group of people has their disgusting members.
Mm. And the
Um,
same could be said, like, there's some great people who just happen to be like the a little bit more of redneck stereotype. Same with people being a bit more of a bogan stereotype. Same with people in the UK being kind of chav stereotypes. Then
what?
I think most like Western countries have their own little cul-de-sac of let's like let's leave them alone and like
Hmm.
let them do their own thing.
Chavs. I've never heard of that. Is that like a bogan or a redneck, like a
Um,
UK version?
it it's kind of a term for people. It's usually a term for younger people, like in the mid to late teens to 20s to maybe even like the early 30s, where it's people who talk with a kind of slurred. I can't really describe it. It's like a slurred kind of English accent. Um, okay. Have you seen Kingsman's Secret Service?
That's exactly what came to mind when you said that. Like as you
Yeah.
were explaining that, yeah,
If you think of the kind of stereotypes that all the posh boys think that Eggsy is, with the way that he kind of dresses, the friends that he hangs out with,
yeah,
they're
with
kind of like in
the
the
ball cap and all that stuff.
yeah, like a little bit of chav cultures in there with kind of lower demographic academically, like lower expectations for how far they can push themselves as people, and like negative stereotypes like that.
Hmm. Okay, well, I'm learning quite a bit today, so thank you for that.
Oh, you're
Let's see.
welcome.
We'll catch up with some comments here. Apparently, nobody likes the idea of eating spiders. So,
That
I
just
hope.
proves they have common sense.
Yeah, and I hope you guys never have to eat a spider. And I hope the same for
Although
myself.
statistically, we apparently eat like insects during our sleep.
Eight
So have
eight
fun sleeping
spiders a
tonight.
year. Apparently, people
Mm.
eat about 8 spiders a year in their sleep. So you might not be as far off of that idea as you think. Um, Now, I mean, I'm sure eating a fist-sized tarantula is more like eating a
That takes
spider
a bit of effort.
steak. Yeah, that's a little more effort, a little more of an investment emotionally.
Mm.
So let's catch up with some comments real quick, and then we're going to get
Yep.
into a bit of a game.
Awesome.
Cancionero says, finally caught a live stream. Thank you both so much for hours of listening I've had with you. Well, my friend, welcome to the stream, and thanks for coming, and you are more than welcome. We we do this because we love to. We enjoy
Mm.
um, entertaining and being a listening ear. Well, not a listening ear, but a voice that you guys can connect with. And I'm sure Stephanie has her own spin on that.
Yeah, I don't really do streams that often. I would love to do more in the future, but I'd love just being able to connect with people in this way, even if I
Hmm.
still need a bit more practice at it. But thank you so much to everyone for joining us for the past hour or so. It's been awesome to chat with you guys, and yeah, glad you enjoyed listening to us.
Yeah, and in this format, we are a listening ear. I don't know. Well, this is your first stream with me, Steph, but a lot of times,
Mm.
people, if somebody's has a problem or something like that, and they mention it in the stream, and we pick up on it, that sometimes it's a beautiful thing too. The community, the small group of people that we have here, kind of comes together and
Yeah,
tries our best to help that person out a little bit, maybe cheer them up, maybe put a smile on their face.
that's
So
awesome.
it's a very that's one of the reasons why I will probably always do these things. Maybe even long after I'm done doing regular stories and stuff like that, I would still jump on every so often to do something like this if anybody's around to listen.
Mm.
Not that I have any plans for, not doing stories anymore. But, I could see myself doing this because it really doesn't take much effort. There's no hours of editing and recording
Yeah.
in a sweaty corner in my room with no fans on because my microphone will pick it up. It doesn't. It's a lot easier to do this. I got my fan blowing right on me right now because it doesn't really matter that much if there's a little bit of background noise, so that's good.
Mm.
Famine52, my clever subscriber, greetings, my friend. I'm glad to see you here. Robin Hood, thank you for the compliment about my eyes. I appreciate that. It's a gift from my mother. She
Mm.
has this. We have the same. We have pretty much the same eyes. Cat Skater 51. First time you've heard my voice, is that right?
Hey. She's one of my good friends. Uh, that I chat with on a regular basis. So, yeah, I'm glad you could join us, Kat.
Welcome, my friend. I hope my voice sounding like an announcer is a positive thing to you. I appreciate that. Ellie, looks like Ellie had to go. Thank you, and I hope you have a great rest of your day.
Mm.
Let's see here, Robin Hood. Yes, my eyes are green. That's right. Well, there's like four different colors in there, but overall, from a couple feet away, it looks green to me. There's like all kinds of
Awesome.
weird stuff going on in there. There's even little spots in it. It's kind of like a blue outer ring, and then the middle is green that fades into yellow, and then there's like red speckles throughout. And
Awesome. Like you have those eye freckles in a way.
yeah, it's like on my iris.
Oh, that's cool.
It's I guess so.
Oh, and thanks so much, Robin. I'm glad you like my channel.
Yeah, if you guys haven't heard Steph's channel, please do go over there and check her out because she's one of the few other, you have to think about it. If I'm a reader slash writer narrator myself, and I'm working on and listening to this stuff all the time myself, if there's someone who could capture the attention of someone like me who's basically inundated to the point where sometimes I get a little sick of stories and stuff like that, but Stephanie Swan Quills never fails to capture my imagination and my interest, and
Thank you.
that's something that I want you guys to all be able to experience. So please
Oh,
pop over there and subscribe to her if you haven't already.
thank you so much.
Of course, of course. Living among us, greetings, friend, and welcome to the stream. I'm hope you're well. I'm doing well. We're having a good time so far, and we're about to get into a little game that some of you probably saw last time we did a stream. Either.io. It's going to be some fun. James Childers, greetings. Yeah, I assure you, if you like me, you're gonna like Stephanie. I'm willing to bet.
I hope you like me.
And if that doesn't if you don't like her, then contact me directly by email, and we'll discuss the terms of my bet. And we'll do that after the fact. Let's see, Tariko, the yellow wallpaper. Hmm. You did a story called the yellow
Oh,
wallpaper,
yes,
Steph.
I did. I did that when I came back from Prague. Thank you so much. It's a story I was planning on reading for a very long time now, and it felt like a good story to kind of pour a lot of energy into after taking so much time off. Oh,
Hmm.
thank you so much, Trico.
I must have missed that one. I'm gonna have to look that up. Okay.
It's a long narration. It's like one of my longest. It's almost 40 minutes long.
Hmm. Yeah,
But yeah,
that's
I really
that's
had
it.
a lot of fun enjoy narrating it.
I'll put that on a drive to work maybe next week. Let's see here. She is mellifluous. Hmm. That's an interesting word. I've never heard that word. Apparently, it means
That is a
sweet
wonderful
or
word.
musical, pleasant to hear.
Thank
That
you so
is
much, Robin.
that is the most apt word I've ever heard to describe someone for this particular case, describing Stephanie Swan Quills.
I
Very
now need
well
to use
done.
that word in everything
Yeah,
because that is
that
an
like
awesome
your mellifluous narrator
word.
sounds like something you'd say. All right, let's see here.
Mellifluous.
And as you can see, I'm switching the screen. I'm switching the feed over to my live chat or my screen share rather, and you guys should see that in just a second. I
Yes.
was looking up mellifluous, so now I'm going to Mike Jumbo Jet. Greetings, friend. Roxana, in the meantime, Roxana wants to know what type
Mm.
of narrations you do.
Um, I generally just do stories that I find interesting to me, as I think most narrators do. I don't really do. I don't solely focus on creepypastas. I do a blend of short stories, creepypastas, poetry, fairy tales, and Shakespeare. So I do
Hmm.
tend to look through a lot more of the classics and blending them in with some newer ones. So bringing to light some older stories that might have um, drifted out of the popular consciousness. So things like Oscar Wilde's The Nightingale and the Rose short story, for example. But then the next week I'll do a contemporary creepypasta or something like that. So I generally tend to do
Hmm.
a lot of different kinds of stories, but they all are usually focused on themes of horror in all its different facets. So the yellow wallpaper can be interpreted more as a psychological horror, whereas the poem that I read today, oddly enough, is much more of a kind of eerie, unsettling kind of horror poem. So they all seem to be tied together by that core theme, but I just like to explore all the different facets. And I'm a sucker for the classics. So there's a couple of
Hmm.
H.P. Lovecraft stories on my channel as well, and some Edgar Allan Poe as well. But I find a lot of narrators tend to read quite a few of their stories. So I only really tackle one of their stories if I feel I haven't done one of them in a while, or I think I can add something new to it.
Okay. Hey, what's the one? One of my favorite stories I've ever heard online was the one that you did about the lady with face blindness. What was that one called? Do you
Oh,
recall?
that's the one. Don't know you from Adam.
Okay. Yeah. That
I
one is.
enjoyed that.
If you guys want to know what Stephanie Swan Quills is capable of and what she's about, listen to that performance. Don't know you from Adam. That is the one
Is it right if I
that
put
will
a?
get you hooked. Yeah, put it in there.
I can find a link and I'll put in the chat so people can find it if they want to.
Absolutely. Shells, greetings, friend. I haven't seen you around here in quite a while. Zippity Doodah, my adoptive older sister by her own claim. Greetings. So, on the screen right now, we have this game called either.io. Excuse me 1 second. I need to drink some water. I'm getting a little hoarse.
Right. I'm just grabbing the link for this anyway. Uh,
All right. Should be a little bit better. So, how this game works, tell me, can you see, Steph, do you see the screen that I'm looking at?
yes, I can.
All right. Let me see if I can just, it might be a little bit faster if I can share the screen with you
Okay.
on Google. So
Because
that,
yeah, that would make more sense. And then I
yeah,
can see it faster.
yeah.
Yeah, I can see it.
Okay, cool. All right. So, this is basically, it's pretty simple. You, you have two choices, and it's would you rather. So this one is would you rather be a pirate or be a ninja? Obviously, ninja.
Pirate.
How did I know that you would be a pirate? As soon as I
For
said the
me,
word obviously, as soon as I said obviously, I was like, you know what? This is wrong. She's going to choose pirate.
Yep, for me, pirate.
Yeah.
Ninja, way too many rules.
Yeah, I guess so. I guess so. You're right. Yeah, pirates just do what they want at all times. Yeah. Okay, I'll give you that one. All
Leading
right.
rebellions and all that good stuff.
Oh yeah. All right. So let me see here. Okay. Go to the
Be a
next one.
pirate in the golden age of piracy. Maybe not a pirate in the contemporary sense.
Yeah, not right now where you just get shredded by machine gun fire as soon as you get close to a boat.
Yeah.
That's not what you want. All right. Would you rather get paid to read every book or watch every TV show? And I kind of have a feeling on where you're going to go with this one too.
I'm going to say book because there are some awful TV shows out there that you could not pay me to watch.
Yeah. But there's also horrendously terrible books.
Oh, I'm sure there's horrendously terrible books. But the lazy side of me would say TV show because then you're not really actively using your brain. But getting paid to read every book, I think you would get so much more out of that. So I'm going to have to say books.
Yeah, I think you're right because if you think about it, I mean, you can't read them all at once. So you could just pick the best books in the world. And by the time you'll die before you finish reading all the best books.
Yeah.
You know, granted,
And you'll be paid for that stuff?
Yeah,
yes.
You'll definitely run out of good TV shows before you die, like way before.
Yeah.
You'll in a month you'll be done. All right, let's see. Well, I'm gonna make sure we go to the chat and see what people are saying about. You know what, nerdy chick. Last week Nyx said pirate, so maybe it is a female thing. Females prefer to be, you know, swashbuckling, mad people, rather than calculating deadly silent assassins, which
it was
I don't
also
know.
amazing being a lady pirate during the golden age of piracy.
Oh, I bet you can get a lot of men to follow you. It's almost like that was like the closest thing they had to Instagram back then. You know, just dudes falling all over themselves to follow, follow a woman.
It was also the fact that it was like so much more equal because I can't remember the name off the top of my head, but there was a famous female pirate who led this massive rebellion in Ireland.
I think I've heard of that.
I feel terrible. I can't remember her name, but she's amazing and awesome. And I need to read more history.
Yeah,
just in general, but history about pirates is especially interesting.
I always feel bad when I fail a history question or. Yeah, I know what you're feeling right now. I feel your pain. Let's see. Pirates get better soundtracks. Yeah, I guess they do.
That is an excellent point.
Yeah. Yeah, what soundtrack does a ninja get? It's usually just silence. You can't even, I mean, You could definitely, rock your headphones and play music while being a pirate. You could have a boombox behind you if you're doing pirate stuff. If you're a ninja
Mm.
and you have any music playing anywhere, you're gonna die. That's an
Yeah.
excellent point. Excellent point. Yeah, I think everybody said books. I don't see anybody saying in the chat that
Everyone
they
has
would
good taste
prefer
then.
TV. Yeah, good call, guys. Good call. See, that's why we're all here together. That's why we're one big clan of dreamers. I'm still working on the terminology that I'm using for my group here. They're definitely
Mm.
dreamers, but clan doesn't sound like the best term right now. All right, let's see.
A cornucopia?
Cornucopia. That
Cornucopia of dreamers.
sounds a little murdery. I'm thinking like Hunger Games for some reason. Every time I hear cornucopia,
Yeah,
that's
fair
what I think.
point.
Yeah, sounds dangerous. All right. Wow, look at that.
Wow, everyone, like, okay,
Uh,
they're thinking in lazy terms, not in terms of expanding your horizons terms.
yeah, this is the internet, so maybe people,
Mm.
the average person surfing around the internet is not wanting to read books. I guess that's disappointing. All right, next.
Yeah.
What the hell is? Oh my
Oh
God,
god.
this is the worst one I've ever seen. All right, we got to give them a second to catch up with this because oh
Oh
man,
no.
would you rather have squirrels for hands or guinea pigs for feet? Okay, what do you think about this one?
Instantly my brain went guinea pigs. I need my hands in order to write.
Yeah, but you'll never be able to walk.
I will chop my own feet off if I have guinea pigs for feet and get some awesome prosthetics and then let them live a happy life with most of my ankles still attached.
Oh
Because
my God,
yeah,
that's
yeah, for me, guinea pigs for feet.
that's one of the most
I
amazing
I
things I've
love my
ever
hands
heard.
too much.
That was one of the most amazing methods of getting out of something terrible that I've ever heard. Allowing sacrificing your feet and ankles so that little guinea pigs can run around with a giant human ankle attached to their their torso.
Well,
Wow, that's
I just
cool.
value my hands more than my feet, so
Yeah, yeah,
I can
yeah.
never have squirrels for hands.
I didn't think of the amputation angle there. Yeah, Shell said
Is it
guinea
terrible that
pigs
my mind went
slippers.
completely into? Is it
No.
terrible that my mind went completely to soul territory at the first
Oh no, no. That's a
moment?
real problem solver. That's a trait of leadership. You have the ability to instantly solve horrifying problems, and that's good. You cannot complain
I
about
play
that.
a lot of Dungeons and Dragons. I'm used to solving very abstract problems because that is potentially something that could happen in a Dungeons and Dragons campaign.
You just get cursed and your feet turn into guinea pigs. Hmm.
Yeah, like a really pissed off druid decides to curse you for life
And then your character just is like that forever. Holy crap.
until
Yeah,
they take their sword and cut their feet off.
there you go. Yeah, look at that. That's pretty well split.
Hey.
That's pretty well split. Hmm. Wow. Okay, goodness. All right, let's see. As a leader, would you rather be loved or be feared? Wait, do you have a guinea pig?
No, I
I
don't.
just heard like a squeak. I was hoping that didn't actually just happen to you somehow by maybe this
No,
website
no.
is magic.
No, I don't. I think it was my water bottle or something.
Oh, okay.
Um, my persona, would say be feared, but me as a person would say be loved.
Yeah, I can attest to that. Every leadership position that I've held in my professional life, I've strived to be I've always kept with the catching more flies with honey than with vinegar type of thing.
Agreed.
If people like you, they're a lot more likely to listen to you and know that you have their best interest at heart. And
Mm,
being feared, I mean, there's a time and place for being feared, and I've done that too. But it's not always. It's not a general leadership
mm.
strategy for me. I'm gonna say loved. Yeah, that's pretty obviously the popular choice. I
A
mean,
part
they're.
of me also wants to say,
Hmm.
uh, I want them to be afraid of how much they love me.
Well,
Best of both worlds.
best of both worlds indeed. For them, well, that I mean, it also seems like that might end up getting you know some stalker issues involved in the
Mm.
situation. You know,
Oh God. Dear chat, please do not stalk me. It's fine to like my channel. Please do not stalk me.
yeah, that's actually my job, guys. I'll do this. You can stalk her through me. Just ask
Mm.
me what she's
Yeah.
doing, and I'll tell you from the bushes outside of her London apartment. Don't worry.
Yeah, we are of one blood, remember? We're
Yeah,
psychically linked.
exactly.
And I'm filing the paperwork as we speak.
Restraining order against all 27 people in the chat. Let's see.
Just take a screenshot.
Yep. Um,
Hmm.
would you rather be 4 feet tall or 10 feet tall? How tall are you, Steph?
I am about 5'7",
Oh, okay. So you're on the taller side. Uh
and
oh.
I quite enjoy being tall. I
Shells is
also
saying
wear.
she's already peeping at you. Oh, there you go. Restraining order time.
um, and even though I'm like 5'7", I also wear like big, chunky heeled Doc Martens pretty much everywhere, which give me an extra like 2 to 3 inches of height.
Hmm.
So most people kind of my friends kind of see me and know me as maybe being closer to 5'9", but my normal natural standing height is 5'7". But
Mm-hmm.
I would love the idea of being 10 feet tall.
You see, I mean, I definitely it's going to be 10 feet tall for me. I'm just going to click it because that doesn't
Mm.
make. I'm not going to. There's no way in hell
ten
I'm going to be
feet
four
tall,
feet
so
tall. I,
10 feet tall, so long as I'm still in proportion and I don't just have like a really long neck.
I and somebody could just easily just hit you, kick you in the neck and just break your whole neck in half like a giraffe.
Pretty much.
Oh no, no
Like if
thanks.
everything else was in proportion, like okay, maybe a bit of like slender man like stretchiness with the arms and legs, I can deal with that.
Mm-hmm.
Just so long as it was mostly in proportion, that would be appreciated.
Yeah, yeah. That I mean, I'm 6'4", and being
Mm,
6'4" is it's fine. It's a fine height, but and being more tall, much taller than that, would start to get really inconvenient. And being an
mm,
additional almost 4 feet taller would definitely be horrendously inconvenient. But
yeah.
it's way better to me than being 4 feet tall. There's no
Same.
way, no way I would want to be that short, because I kind of feel bad for people that are like 5 feet tall.
Mm,
Like when I see them walking around. I mean, most places I go, I'm at least a full head above everyone else. And imagine being,
mm,
a head or two below everyone else, the average person.
yeah.
That's crazy to me. I couldn't do that. All right, but hey, if you are 4 feet tall, then I still love you. It's all good. Um, but yeah, I can't do that. Paula, greetings, friend. So you're 5'4". That's not a bad height. Steph's only got you by about 3 inches. That's pretty good. I didn't know you were that tall, Steph. That's cool.
Out of curiosity, how tall did you think I was? Like average-ish height, maybe closer to 5'3" or 5'4"?
Uh, I mean, if I had to just guess off the top of my head, because I literally have nothing to reference off of.
Yeah.
I mean, I guess you had a couple of pictures on Instagram that showed yourself from behind standing next to a doorway. But I probably
Mm.
would have guessed maybe 5'4", 5'5", I guess. But you know, 5'7". That's about how tall my mother is. That's pretty tall.
Cool. Mm. I like
Um,
being tall.
oh yeah, it's fun, isn't it?
Mm.
I know a girl who's 6'2", really pretty girl. She's
That's
and you know,
awesome.
and she kind of it's been kind of hard for her, I guess, in life. But she recently just got
Mm.
married, so I guess it's all good. But it's not a lot of guys that feel like they could confidently be comfortable with a girl that tall. You know what I mean? I
Yeah.
guess if they're much shorter than her, there's some things guys just can't wrap their head around. I guess. But
Mm.
anyway, this one, play a game of one on one with Michael Jordan or Kobe Bryant. This one's kind of lame. You're gonna lose either way. I guess right now, since Michael Jordan is old, you might do a little bit better, but you could probably still spank most people. I bet.
Come on, Slam, and welcome to the jam. I have to go with Michael Jordan.
Yeah, I would go with him too. Just to be able to say
Yes.
that I had a game with Michael Jordan. I mean, what else? What else would you do from that? You're gonna lose. There's no way you can outshoot him. He's probably stronger than you and taller. He's taller than
Mm.
me. Yeah, that was an easy one. Okay. Would you rather be the spouse of a polygamist or never have a relationship last longer than 2 years? That's an interesting one.
Oh God. Oh.
So in my case, I'd be
It kind
like
of depends.
the spouse of a woman that has like several husbands, and
Mm.
I would hate that.
Yeah, it kind of says a lot about like, because if you yourself are interested in polygamy, then yeah, no problem at all. For me, I would have to go with the other one. Never have a relationship last longer than 2 years.
Hmm. Yeah,
If it's
I would
something
do that.
like, if it's something terrible like it only lasts 2 years because they die of a horrible curse, then okay, that's a little bit sadder. But if it's something like it just fizzles out after 2 years, then it's not terrible. You
Yeah,
can still be very happy with finding connections with interesting, very different people. So yeah.
yeah. And there's people that have that happen anyway, like normally,
Mm,
and no
yeah.
no curse required. Let's
Mm,
see. In the chat, Roxana, you're down with polygamy
mm,
all the way. That hey, do you? If that's what you are interested in, and you'd rather that. I mean, having a long-term, meaningful relationship and being a sister wife, if that's what you're okay with, I guess so. And that is, yeah, in a way, it's not that different from
mm.
what Paula says, serial monogamy, which is switching up every 2 years. It's pretty similar.
Mm.
Yeah, I think most people. Yeah, you know what, Paula? I think you're right. Steph talks about curses quite a bit. I wonder if she's secretly into the dark arts somehow. Wouldn't be the first person,
Shh.
not even the
Let's
first
make
person
that
in this
public.
chat that's aware of such things. I'm putting together a team of supernaturally inclined people. So let me know if that's true, Steph. We'll talk. We'll talk later.
Well, you know how much I love the X-Men.
Oh yeah. You know what? I was talking to my uncle a year or so ago, and I was telling him about some of the really interesting people that I've met, and he was basically told me, he said, your name is Mister X, right? And you now are in acquaintance with
Oh.
you're in acquaintance with a person
Oh.
who's a witch. You have someone who has prophetic dreams, a clairvoyant. You have a person who claims to have werewolf like capabilities, and more and more unique and interesting people popping up every other day. He's like, you know what you are, right? What you can be. And it blew my mind when he said that. And I was like, holy crap, am I Professor X? And
Charles Xavier, you're
yeah,
recruiting me to the X-Men.
it almost made me cry when I heard that. You know, I know it's a little blown out of proportion, but
Mm. No, that's fantastic.
I want to believe. You know, I want to believe. Okay, next question. In any given situation, would you rather be the first to die or the last to die? This is yeah, Roxana does not want to be the last. Because if you're the last, you survive the longest, but you also get to watch everyone else around you get killed, which I can assure you is going to leave a mark. Hmm.
Oh, for me, I have to say the opposite. I would be the last to die. Final girl, all the way.
Yep, a classic movie trope right there. Actually, there's a movie called The Final Girl, and
I haven't seen it yet.
I've been wanting to watch it so bad, but I just haven't had chance to. I haven't had time to do it. But it seems like one of those type of like Cabin in the Woods where it kind of pokes fun at that particular trope
Yeah.
of movies. So I'm interested in checking it out. Maybe one of these days I'll waste some time and look at it. Yeah, you know what? I would say last to die because I don't want to get taken out like a punk. I want to be fighting and trying my best and being the one that survived the longest and
I
trying
want
to
to be
save the
standing on the
others.
top of that bus with all the zombies around me, just like final stand.
Yep, just
And I know
swinging
no one
your.
else will be watching, but god
Yep.
damn it, I'll be proud.
You know, you'll just be swinging your empty shotgun, you know, knocking zombies' jawbones off until they just overtake you. That's wow. Look at that spread. That's so
Very
unexpected.
close.
Yeah, unexpected. Cool. Would you rather eat a tablespoon of salt or a tablespoon of cinnamon? Oh, those are both really sucky options. Hmm.
For me, it has to be cinnamon. Because, like, eating that much salt on its own would probably make you throw up, whereas just eating a tablespoon of cinnamon would just make you cough and spit it out.
Yeah, but you got to eat it. You got to eat the whole thing, every bit of it. That, in my mind, that's how
They
it
didn't
works.
clarify if it's just on its own. You can easily eat a tablespoon of cinnamon if you mix it in with like applesauce and on toast or something.
No,
If
no,
it's just on its own.
we're not going. We're not look. And hey, look at that. It even says swallow it all at the
Okay,
bottom. So
fair point.
we gotta go all the way with this. Um, I've tried the cinnamon challenge years ago, and it was extremely
How'd that turn
unpleasant.
out?
It was not pleasant at all. I coughed a little bit, and I don't think I was able to swallow like almost any of it. I could barely swallow a third of it. I don't know if I swallowed any. I had to just rinse my mouth out with water eventually, and I was uncomfortable for like the next 2 hours. It sucked.
Ooh.
But then again, salt would not be much more comfortable either. So
Because all of your
shoot.
mouth and probably your throat would become really dehydrated from all the. Oh.
Yeah, the salt would just sap the moisture out of your mouth, and it'll probably also have some digestive ramifications too. But cinnamon does the same thing. Like Paula says, it's wood, it's bark from a tree.
It's wood, but it's nowhere near as bad for you as a whole tablespoon of salt just on its own. I think I would still go with cinnamon because you probably wouldn't like you'd cough and you'd be really uncomfortable for a while, but it wouldn't have the potentially awful effects on your body that a full
Yeah,
tablespoon of pure salt would have. So
yeah,
I'm gonna have to go with cinnamon.
yeah. I think you're right because I think I mean cinnamon's probably actually good for you. You know, like just regular straight cinnamon. And I think who's it? Zippity Doodah asked who comes up with these questions. At the end, at underneath every one of these questions, it
Mm.
shows the name of the person. I guess the user, somebody who's joined up to this website, either.io. They just come up with the questions. So look at that. Whoa, check that out. 54% salt and
Ooh,
46 to cinnamon. That is not what I expected either.
me
Interesting.
neither.
Let's see. Okay. Would you rather marry a hardened criminal or
Oh
marry someone
no.
with 5 kids from 3 previous marriages? Hmm. Yeah. This is a yeah. The criminal thing? No. No.
And then it has in the comment, hardened criminals do more than just shoplift. So we're talking like a possible murderer,
Yeah.
maybe serial killer or something like that.
You're
Oh
talking
my
about
god.
somebody that would freaking stab you in the in your sleep and slit your throat. Yeah. Wait a minute. Robin Hood and 808 both say criminal with no apparent reservations whatsoever. You do realize that this person may have chopped up a body before and
They might
buried.
be a member of the mob and have like a body count, serious
Yes.
body count.
Yeah, they could. And with this person, if you piss them off, what do you think they're going to how do you think they're going to react?
Mm.
They would calmly and just with no hesitation get a knife from the kitchen, which you will have because you live with them, cut your throat, continue cutting until your entire head is severed. They will then separate, draw and quarter your body, wrap it in plastic wrap, apply the chemicals that they already know, the household chemicals that can be used to dissolve flesh, and put you down the drain of your bathtub. That's what they'll do to you if you annoy them. They're a hardened
What he
criminal.
said. And I'm thinking, and my imagination's dark. Oh, Steph has a thing for curses. I don't prescribe
uh,
in just detail on how to chop a body up.
yeah, I believe it or not, I've never thought of doing that to anyone before. So it's just how my mind works. And yeah,
We're
sorry about
both in the
that.
horror narration community. I have a feeling that our minds are kind of constantly in rotation around stuff like
Yeah,
that.
it is not my fault. Like I will plead the same defense as Steph. We are exposed. For you guys, for the sake of your enjoyment and your enlightenment, we expose ourselves to extremely dark and disturbing material, and sometimes disturbingly real stories. And because of that,
Because we love
sometimes, yeah, that's it. That's the reason why we do it. Just because we love you, nothing else. And
you. And sometimes when you're writing a novel, you have to look up the stages of decomposition of a human body
hmm
just for authenticity's sake.
yeah, and you have to print those out and plaster them all over your walls in your bedroom.
Yeah, and have little strings of red connecting all of them and a little thought tree.
And yeah, I'm gonna go with the person with 5 kids. Wow, look at
Yeah,
that
same
spread.
here. There we go. Although
Forty-eight
that's a little
percent
bit closer than I
against.
would like to think.
Yep.
Mm.
Wait, we would have a lot of domestic disputes. I'll leave it at that. How about that?
Hmm. Yeah.
Instead of going into a disgusting rant. All right. Would you rather? Hey, is everybody enjoying this game? I'd like to know. If you enjoy the game and want us to keep going on for a few more rounds, then let me know. And if you're tired of it, let me know that too. Because I could literally probably do this for like 2 hours straight. As long as we have if I have
Woohoo!
somebody to talk to and discuss these things with, and especially with you guys in the chat. Um,
Everyone seems to be enjoying it, and I'm having a great time. So
oh
yeah.
yeah, yeah. Okay, we're going on. We're doing it.
Whoop, whoop.
would you rather be the best known person in a small band under 200 people know, or be some guy on the sidelines of your favorite band? This is kind of an easy one to me.
Mm.
What do you think?
Can you just scroll down a little bit? Because sometimes they have like clarification. Because I'm thinking sidelines. I'm thinking more like a roadie rather than, let's be honest,
Mm-hmm.
the drummer or bass player, for example.
Mm-hmm.
Because yeah, that's what I'm
Let's see.
thinking. Uh,
Yeah, I'm.
I was just wondering if they had clarification similar to the criminals one, but
No,
never mind.
it just says
Um,
lead or follow. I'm thinking. I
mm,
mean, anyone affiliated with your favorite band is going to be making a lot more money than a person in a band that only known by 200 people.
mm,
You know, that's the only reason why. Because I have no interest in being in a band whatsoever. But if I was, I'd be happy to just be the announcer for my favorite band when they go out on concert.
yeah. Yep. I'm the same. I'd rather be well loved and respected by under 200 people who really appreciate you for you rather than millions of crowds and barely being a footnote on the album or something like that.
Well, no, I mean that's. I'm saying red because I will be the
You're saying
I
red.
will be the footnote if I'm making
Okay, I'm saying blue.
if I'm making $100,000 a year as a footnote. I'm happy. You know, that's just me. You want blue?
I'd rather I'd rather be scraping by in a tiny little bar in a for a tiny little jazz band or something.
Hmm.
But
Hey,
that's just me.
if that's what you like to do, because I don't want to be in a band, and if I could make a whole bunch of money by being an insignificant part of a really popular band, I would do that in a second if that's something that I could do, because then I can work on I'll have enough money to not have to work on a job that I don't really like, and just
Fair
be able to
point.
do whatever I want on the side. You know, the less I'm involved and the more in the sidelines I am, the
Mm.
less I have to actually do with that job, I assume. Oh snap! We got Nix has jumped onto the chat.
Hey.
What is going on? Hey,
Woo-hoo.
Nix, let me know if you want to jump on here. I'll send you an invite, and if you I don't know if you're all set up or if you're on break at work or something. Let me know.
Mm.
I'd love to. Have you guys met vocally at least?
Um, not vocally before, but we have collaborated in the past.
Cool, cool. Okay,
Yay!
yeah, yeah. Okay, so you're saying blue. I'll since you're the guest, I'll go with you and see what people say. Yeah, most people went my
Mm.
way, I guess.
I kind of figured as much.
Yeah, when it comes to being in a band, whatever the least amount of effort I could put in to make the most amount of money, that's what I would do because I could care less. Okay,
Sam.
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 Sam is the younger one, right?
Yep.
I would
Although,
definitely be Dean.
okay, what's actually quite funny is Dean Winchester and I have the exact same birthday.
Oh wow.
So I should answer Dean because I kind of already am Dean Winchester.
Like on the show, his birth date on the show is the same as yours, or in the actor in real life.
No, the character's birthday is the exact same as mine.
Oh wow. Like the year and everything. Wait, don't answer that.
No, not the year.
Okay.
Just to clarify, not the year. Otherwise,
Mhm.
that make me quite a bit older. But we do have the same like birthday,
Mhm.
day and month.
Okay. Cool.
Uh, I, but then again, would I rather be Sam? He suffers so much. Poor
Well,
boy.
Dean went to hell at some point, didn't he?
Yeah, but Sam's had such a messed up life
Hmm.
so far. So to be honest, I would actually say Dean instead. Reactionally, I say Sam, but I haven't watched maybe the past 5-ish seasons or something. But
Mhm.
the both of them are still alive? Question mark. Um, I'm gonna have to go with Dean as well.
Okay. Yeah, I would go with Dean. Just I watched the show for the first like 2 seasons, and I just felt I loved Dean. I felt a very
Sally.
special connection with him somehow. I don't know why. Oh wow, look at that, Sam. Well, Sam has like a lot of
Wow.
special powers and stuff, doesn't he? Maybe that's why
Mm.
everybody's you
But
know
they come at a great
into that.
price.
Well,
Great and terrible price.
I bet they do. Good night, Shells. Thanks for hanging out with us.
Good night, Charles.
Man, the Roxana's saying that the new season starts. What season is it? It's got to be like season 12 or something by now.
I think it's 12 or 13.
Hmm. Doggone.
Oh, this one's fucking dark.
Yeah, this is bad.
Hmm.
Easily, easily, I'd go blue.
Yeah, same.
I'm
I
not
couldn't
gonna have
handle
a
the grief
child
of that.
pass away at 5. No way.
No.
No way. And I bet you that's like, yeah. Who
Yep.
would who would do this? Who would have a child knowing that the child will pass away before age 5? Who would do that? I
Just
wonder. Well, let's see what people say. I would prefer to experience the joy of being a parent or
wow.
over that. Still
Mm.
worth it. Okay, so this person is doing this is 8 years ago? How long has this
Mm.
website been up? Holy crap. So this is simply for selfish purposes. Just to have
Mm.
the a brief joy of
You
being a
know,
parent.
not having to wake up every morning, look into the eyes of your kid, knowing that it is literally a ticking down to the day that
Mm-hmm.
they die. Well, existentially, that could be said of everyone, but in this case, the kid's 5.
Hmm. Yeah, it's I know some 5-year-old kids, and I could not imagine them dying, and me knowing
Mm.
that they were going to die, and I
Yeah.
brought them into the world anyway. No, can't do it.
Mm.
Hmm. Did you say something that I missed just now?
Uh, no, I don't think so.
Okay, I felt maybe I was just
No.
in deep thought or something. Okay, would you rather be Gonzo or the Cookie Monster? Uh,
I have to go with Gonzo, the
yeah,
great Gonzo.
Cookie Monster seems a little mentally deficient. I mean, he can't.
A little bit too impulsive for my taste.
Yeah, yeah. Gonzo. I mean, he's kind of a punk as far as I recall. But yeah,
Evil Knievel style Daredevil.
yeah. Well,
Wow.
wow. Hmm. Old school Cookie Monster who just does nothing but wants to satisfy his crippling addiction to cookies. Hmm. Wow.
Seems like most of the chat is kind of in agreement of Gonzo.
Yeah, a couple of people said Cookie Monster. Paula,
Mm.
um, Cat Skater says that. Wait, is Cat Skater a he or a she? You said
She.
it's a female, right? Okay. Um,
Mm.
she eats cookies almost like Cookie Monster as it is. That's. I think you should talk to your friend about that. That could be a problem. Hmm. Hey, Chris Van Vleer, I never greeted you. Thanks for coming by. Good to have you here. Okay, Tariko's
Thanks for joining us,
saying
Chris.
Cookie Monster has constant access to cookies. Where are they coming from? What is his budget? That's a good question.
Very
He
good
seems
question.
to be able to conjure them from pure will, just the pure desire for cookies. He's able
That is his
to
mutant power.
yeah, that could be. I mean, he could. Why is he on Sesame Street? Why is he not feeding the world by his infinite supply of cookies? Is he getting the cookies from a pocket dimension that only he
He's
has
able to tap
access
into
to?
the cookie dimension.
Yeah. Or, you know what? Maybe he is secretly a genius and created
He is
a
the sorcerer
portal
supreme.
device. Yes. You notice most of the time when he's getting cookies, they come from a plate. I bet you that
Mm.
plate has some type of extra dimensional technology infused into it, or maybe it's just some kind of a fabricator device that can just replicate endless amounts of cookies using, the atoms from air and dirt or something. Who knows? That's
Magic.
yeah. That's way longer of a
So,
rant than I probably should have done, but whatever. It's our stream. We do what we want. Rather only listen to the Beatles or only listen to the Rolling Stones. I'm gonna go Rolling Stones. Never was a big Beatles fan.
mm,
What do
I
you
have to go
think?
with the Stones as well.
Yeah,
Like I find the discography of the Beatles is like really interesting and their music's great, but I like the bit more of the energy in the Rolling Stones.
yeah, yeah. I'm not a huge fan of either one, but definitely I
Mm,
don't really like any Beatles songs, and there's a few Rolling Stone songs that I definitely like.
yeah.
So I'm gonna go with that. Yeah, of course. Everybody, all the sheeple on the internet just chose the Beatles. No offense to Beatles fans. I'm just playing.
Mm.
Let's see. Wait a second. There's some in the Cancionero household. There's some dispute going on. You say your husband likes Gonzo, said Gonzo, and you're saying Cookie Monster. Now he wants to make this a drinking game. What's man? I wonder what the drinking game would be. That sounds interesting.
Mm.
Maybe if we disagree, we take a shot, and if we agree, we don't. Hmm. Good night. Okay, you guys are going to bed. You have a good ever over in Southend. Okay, I guess they live in. Is that a part of London? Southend.
I'm. It might be. I'm not quite sure. Cancinero. But thank you so much for joining the stream.
All right. Be on the lookout for them stalking you. If just make sure you don't say where you live. Just a
Well,
joke.
when you say I live in London, it's kind of a big area,
Yeah.
so
Yeah. Yeah, I bet. Okay, let's see. Going on to the next one. Would rather be on an episode of Cops or Cheaters? Hmm. What was
this
that?
is kind of a no-brainer.
Uh, in what way? Like
Like
cops or
cops.
cheaters? You would
Like for
rather
me, it's
cops?
cops. Like I'd rather be arrested for shoplifting than cheat on someone I'm in a relationship with. I know
Hmm.
that's terrible to say, but it's kind of not terrible to say.
Oh, well,
Like I'm assuming this
yeah, I
is like a
guess.
featured guest, like not being the actor that is then being used to stage the cheater or something like that.
I'm thinking
Yes,
you would be
clarification, you would be the star.
yeah. So you're the one you're the focus of the episode. So you're either the cheater or the person being arrested. Hang on a second. I think we can add. I think we can add Nix onto here. All right, Nix, if you're
Mhm.
listening, I've sent you an invite. All right, and I think she's
Hello.
here. Hey,
Okay, am I there?
yes, I
Hey,
believe
Nix.
so.
Awesome.
All right, I think you're having a little bit of a connection issue there.
Mm.
Say something.
Am I still there?
Yes.
Oh, yeah, you're coming in clearer now.
Okay, awesome.
All right, perfect. Thanks for coming. I'm glad you were able to make it. Well,
Yeah, well, I thought I wasn't. I still had to work and everything, but they called everybody off or early because a lot of people showed up, so we got everything done. So it was good.
Mm.
cool.
Awesome.
Very good. Well, I'm glad you guys were able to be on here together. This is what was meant to be for tonight. And that's now the stream
And
is complete.
yeah, I was just going to say, Nix, I think this is the first time we've actually spoken before because we've chatted via email in the past, but this is the first time we've talked. So it's lovely to meet you.
Oh, thank you. It's nice to meet you too. But yeah, I mean, I wanted to like talk to people. I like to talk to people, but a lot of the times I'm really awkward and I just, email's best.
Yeah.
Just
Join the
email's
club.
best.
Same.
Join the club. I just realized that I might have made a mistake having the voices of two of my favorite narrators in my ear live at the same time. So
And why is
you
that?
guys, you guys are just gonna have to make sure I don't lose focus here. All right, you're gonna have to help
We
me
make
out
no
a little bit.
promises.
Yeah, I bet you don't. Everybody's all right. Everybody's saying hi to Nix. All right, let's do this. Nix, you remember last week we were playing the either.io, and
Yes.
we're at an interesting turn of events here with this question. Are you able to see my screen?
Yes, I got it.
So, I think Steph and I have both shown our well, I think at least Steph has shown her preference on this one. So, what do you? Oh my gosh, you see Pumpkin Joanne? That's exactly what I'm trying to avoid. She says, "Wow, a threesome." Okay,
Um,
comps or cheaters? You're the star. You're the person of interest. Which one?
um, cops.
Yeah,
Hey.
I'd have to do cops too.
Definitely cops.
Yeah, I've never been a cheater of any sort, and I've also never been a criminal, as far as I'm aware. But I have dealt with
I'm
criminals, and
filing the
it's not
paperwork
it's not
as we
good.
speak.
So as long as I stay away from London, I will not be a criminal.
Oh my god.
And yeah, some people, I guess, I mean, if this would have to be people who are not currently cheating, because if they were and they're on cheaters, now their whole the jig is up. So I'm sure these are all people. This 26%, 314,000 people are probably people that aren't cheating anyway. So I guess if you are on cheaters and you're a faithful person, you should be good to go. I should have picked that one, I guess, because I could just be like, hey, I didn't do it. You got the wrong guy. Let's see here. Would you rather eat only lima beans for the rest of your life, or eat your favorite meal but only 3 times a week?
Okay, and with the second option, you can't eat anything else all week.
Okay, that's
So you can
important.
only eat 3 times a week.
So you'll
I'm still
basically
with
just
favorite
be
meal. So
Yeah, same here.
But you'll basically be emaciated. I mean, unless you just say, hey, my favorite meal is a 4,000 calorie feast of, my favorites, all my favorite foods, which for me would be hamburgers and pizza, basically. But, geez, 3 times a week?
you know what?
That's
It
hard.
would still be the same thing because I'm not going to eat the lima beans.
Really?
So yeah. Yeah.
For the
gross.
rest of your life?
I wonder if you can, like, season the lima beans or put barbecue sauce on them or something.
Ugh.
The lima beans are not that bad.
Also, you could choose when you take your 3 meals, so it's not like you're eating them back to back. You could have one like just after midnight, like, and space it out during the day. So you, like, I'm sure there's a nutritionist who can calculate the optimal time to eat a, say, 10,000 calorie meal, like 3 times a week.
Yeah. Well,
to get like the most, so you don't go completely into starvation.
Yeah. You see that, and the fact that, I mean, okay, I'm sure that you guys are going to go red regardless. Lima beans are not that bad though.
Ugh.
I eat them all the time. You know what? You guys ever heard of a YouTube channel called Kurzgesagt? It's in a nutshell, they have beautiful animated science related videos where they explain different aspects of science and the world and the universe and stuff like that.
No.
It's fascinating. If you go to YouTube and type in a nutshell, it's like highly extremely well produced, animated, like 6 to 9 minute segments of explaining in basically layman's terms all kinds of really interesting science related stuff. It's really
Is that
really
the
good.
channel that made the video about like the entire history of the planet?
Yes, they've made a video like that. They've made ones on nuclear war.
I think I might have been talking about.
Yeah, like black holes and all kinds of crazy stuff. But one of them, the one that came out a couple days ago, explained that the different types of bacteria in your gut. And I'm not. I promise I'm not going to belabor this too much. But I'm trying to defend lima beans here for a second. Hey,
You're
Mr.
adamant about
Davis.
this.
Greetings, my friend. Mr. Davis is in the chat. What was I saying? You threw me off, Mr. Davis, but it's okay. It's coming back to me. Lima beans. There's certain types of bacteria in your gut, and I've been learning about this a lot lately because I'm kind of trying to adjust my diet. There's bacteria, for example, that enjoy sugary foods. There's bacteria that enjoy fatty foods. There are bacteria that enjoy vegetables and things like that. So whatever food you eat will encourage the amount of that type of bacteria that likes that particular type of food that proliferates in your system. And that in turn kind of makes you want to consume that more. So if you're eating fast food all the time and you're eating a lot of greasy or sugary stuff, then bacteria, obviously, just by attrition and by, kind of a miniature version of natural selection, the ones that like eating vegetables are going to kind of not reproduce as much, and then the ones that like eating fat and sugar are going to be reproducing to the point where they're the majority of the bacteria. So you kind of have to feed the ecosystem within your gut. And if you eat vegetables, the more you eat it, the more bacteria that likes vegetables will grow in your gut, and then they will be actually telling your brain somehow that that's what you should be eating, and that's the type of things that you're going to feel better when you eat. So if you want to change your diet, and it probably takes a couple of months to get your system tuned up to that, the way that it needs to be, where it becomes normal and kind of pleasant for you to eat healthy stuff. And I can attest to that it does happen. And so if you eat lima beans every day for the rest of your life, eventually you will start to like it. That's kind of why I said that whole story. But you should definitely check that channel out. It's this weird word that I'm not going to spell. It's called Kurzgesagt. But, I mean, if you type in a nutshell, science video or something like that, it'll come up. Very, very fascinating stuff. And they release a video like once every month or so. Okay, next question. Would you rather be forced to attend school for your whole life or be forced to marry your distant cousin?
What kind of question is that?
Oh, God.
Yeah. Well,
I just love that the question is so simple. It's smarts or incest. It puts
Yeah.
things in perspective, really.
Yeah, it was a nice touch. Nice touch.
Oh, I guess school?
Well, wait, how distant though? I mean, aren't we all kind of distant cousins? If you think about it.
What, by like marriage,
Well,
3 times removed, something like that?
yeah,
That
like, I
I
mean,
don't
if
know. I don't think that would still work.
Like, we're not
Yes.
talking Targaryens here. We're talking
yeah, exactly.
distant cousins.
Yeah, I mean, distant cousins. I have cousins that are not even that distant, and I don't know anything about them. There's some that I've never seen. I have like hundreds of
Yeah.
cousins.
Also, they don't say blood cousins. It could be a cousin through marriage. So you're not blood related.
yeah,
Ergo, kids will not be a problem if you decided it would just make things weird. But technically, then you're not marrying a blood relative.
All right. If I could pick one whose parents were dead, then as weird as
Oh
that
my god.
sounds, then yes. Yeah, I would go with that.
I think I'm gonna stay with school.
I hate school. I'm so
So
tired
do
of it.
I.
I've been in college. I was in college from the age of 15 to like 30, and it's not. It's I don't like it anymore. I'm done with it.
Well, it doesn't say what type of things. I mean, you could just do like hobby type, stuff. It doesn't
No,
have to be like you're going for your masters.
yeah,
It could be something fun.
yeah. Well, Mr. Davis said school's not that bad. Yeah, I don't know. Everybody seems
I
to
don't
be
want to be
saying
forced to
school.
marry anybody.
Why isn't anyone? Why isn't anyone saying incest? That's weird, isn't it?
Sure, it's totally weird.
Yeah.
Okay,
Well.
yeah, like so long as it's a marriage through like related by marriage, I'm going to go with cousin because I
Okay.
cannot stomach being stuck at school
Yeah.
for the rest of my life.
Yeah. And I also can't stomach, like my mom being like, yeah, you know that you're marrying my cousin's daughter. Like that's why
Mm,
the I don't know. Yeah, I wouldn't want to. Okay, if that distant cousin and me and I were the last two surviving members of anyone related to any of us, so no one else would be there to
yep.
to bother us about it, then I would do that. Otherwise, no. But I'm just because I feel dirty clicking the red, I'm just going to click the blue one. Wow, and look at that. Look
Wow,
at that.
that's surprising.
Oh my gosh.
Look at that.
See, the internet agrees.
Yep.
Incest is wincest.
Oh my god.
Sorry, I had to say it.
It's no, I'm in awe of that comment. That's just I've never heard it before, and it's so appropriate because literally it's wincesting right now.
Hmm.
No. Tariko says I was talking about that. I guess he was eating a bowl of chorizo while we were talking about health, eating healthy. Well, I hope that I inspired you to throw a few lima beans on top of that chorizo next time. Um, that'll do it. Let's see. Do you have to consummate the marriage? Well, what's the point of a marriage if you're not going to consummate it? This is not the Inquisition back in the days where people could yeah, forget that. No, you're consummating it. It's going down. You're gonna knock boots with your cousin. Distant cousin. But it has to happen.
Through marriage, just
Yeah.
to clarify.
Yeah, through marriage, unless you guys are the only two people in your entire family and no one else is there to judge you. Then the marriage part is
And it's like the last two
yeah.
people on Earth kind of thing.
Well, it's either that or you have to go to school forever. So, yeah. I guess you don't have to consummate it. You could just have an open relationship with your cousin,
Yeah.
I guess.
And then that ties into the polyamorous question from earlier.
Yeah, it does, being a spouse of a polygamist. Or what was the other option? Either be the spouse of a polygamist or have to have a different relationship every 2 years, like never be in a relationship
Yeah,
more than
that
2
was it.
years. Yeah. Cat Skater 51 saying she's got into college at 18, 19, and senior with 1 year left at 23. Not bad. You're doing pretty well. I took my time quite a bit. Well, when I was young, when I was 15, getting in, when I first got into college, I was only able to take like 1 or 2 classes at a time. And then when I was in the military, I was I kind of took a break, and then I started taking 1 or 2 classes again, and I finally got a bachelor's like 2 years ago. So
Awesome.
but I'm so tired of that. Oh wow, you know what? That's an interesting point. Tariko says you could take cool classes like blacksmithing and stuff like that.
That is actually a fair point.
Yeah, that is definitely a fair point. And I mean, the last couple of classes I took, I kind of was giving up on. I switched my major over to like liberal arts, and I mean, the last two major essays that I wrote a 10-page paper about the philosophy of Batman, and then like Batman, like comic book Batman, and his nature as a hero and all that kind of stuff, and why he exists. And then I also wrote like a 10-page paper about The Matrix, my favorite movie of all time. So there are ways to make to be unburdened and have total interest, a totally interesting experience with school. But I mean, there's only but so much of that you could do for your whole life. Eventually, you're going to have to start studying, you know, theoretical physics and stuff like that when you run out of courses. And no thanks. Wait, what? Okay, I see.
Matador, bullfighting.
Yeah. I hate bullfighting. Would you rather fight
same.
3 bulls at the same time or 10 bulls one at a time? 3 bulls, you're dead. 10 bulls,
Yeah.
you're dead at bull 4 at best.
Yeah.
I'll definitely go with red.
Red.
Yeah. Well,
Also, it says fight them. It doesn't say to finish them. So you could just like wear them out, maybe. I don't know.
yeah,
Still red anyway.
You're definitely not.
Pass out from exhaustion.
You're not going to wear them out on red, because each one is a fresh bull. Like you wore out one bull, and now you got a fresh, brand new bull, and you have to do that 9 more times. That's not happening. 3 bulls at the same time. One of them, you're going to get a horn directly implanted into your rectum. Easy. That's, yeah. These both are terrible.
Yeah.
All right, what
but
do we
I think
do?
we're kind of in agreement on red.
Yeah. Well, I mean, red, if you do red, you're still going to die, but at least it's not going to come from behind where you don't even notice it. At least it'll be straightforward.
And you're not going to get gored to death by 3 bulls pulling you in 3 different directions.
Yeah. Yeah, like one coming up your jaw and out your mouth, one in your butt, and then the other one in your belly button. No.
Yeah.
Oh, God.
No.
How's that mental image?
Although that is a very close split, though.
Huh.
Maybe they're thinking death will come faster if you fight 3 bulls at once.
Oh, yeah. It'll come faster, but it'll be a lot more violent and horrifying and painful. If you getting gored and killed by 1 bull is bad enough. Trust me. All right. Most people were saying 10 bulls. Yeah. Mr. Davis said, yeah, it's 3 at once is a death wish, but Mr. Davis, I don't care how many laps you can swim, how many push-ups you can do, no one's fighting 10 bulls consecutively and surviving. It's definitely not going to happen. All right. Rather have a meteoric rise and painfully hard crash from fame, or remain completely unknown for your entire life? So, well, who would be a good example of someone who had a meteoric rise and then painfully hard crash? Maybe Macaulay Culkin. Or Amanda Bynes, or any other child actor in the past 15 years.
Lindsay Lohan.
Yeah, it's sad, really.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'd rather just never be known. Just work at a job and just be Vanilla Ice. That's a good one. But you know what? Yeah, Tariko says Vanilla Ice. Vanilla Ice is almost like a lovable teddy bear right now, though. His meme status has never been stronger.
It's reaching peak levels of dank.
Yeah, I think I'll go with red.
Yeah. What do you say, Steph?
a part of me thinks that blue, because if you do have that meteoric rise, the painfully hard crash is going to be softened a little bit by the fact you can just live off royalties for the rest of your life.
Hmm.
But
Yeah.
I still wouldn't want to live in the public eye like that and
Yeah.
constantly be scrutinized for past mistakes. So I'm going to have to go with red as well.
Yeah. Yep. That's popular. Hmm. Bela Lugosi. Did he really have a bad career fall? Oh, I wasn't aware of that. Play Pac-Man or Space Invaders? Pac-Man all day.
Pac-Man.
Yeah, Pac-Man.
Pac-Man.
That's the one. That's the one game that I've. I mean, I've purchased it like 4 different times, and I've only played it for maybe a total of like 10 minutes in the past 10 years. But
Mm.
it's kind of fun. Space Invaders, I could care less. Mr. Davis likes Space Invaders. Why not both? That's a good question, Cat Skater. I think everybody, well, looks like most people are saying Pac-Man. Hmm. Yeah, Pac-Man. Did you either of you guys ever have an Atari?
I did.
No, I didn't.
Oh, well, it was
I had
it was
Nintendo 64.
it was horrible. That was the first. That was the first system you got.
Yeah.
That's pretty badass.
Yeah. It's awesome.
I had an Atari, my dad's Atari that he bought before I was born, I think. And that was the only system we had until Super Nintendo came out. And then I remember I was in the
Oh
store.
wow.
Yeah, I was in the store with my brother, and I said to my mom, I said, "Mom, can we please get the Super Nintendo? If you get this for us, we will never ask you for anything again. This will be the last thing that we ever ask you to buy for us." Which to me, in my heart, it was so true. That's how much I wanted it. But obviously, I mean, I was like 10 years old or something, maybe 10 or 11. I don't know how old I was. But I, 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 I've asked my mother for so many other things. That was such a lie in the long run. And I kind of feel bad about saying that. But I still have that Super Nintendo. And, it brought me so much joy. But then I got a PlayStation 1 like a couple of years later. And that was even more mind-boggling to me. I can't believe sometimes looking at the graphics with those old games and thinking like there was a time where I was like, man, how could this get any better? Do you guys remember thinking that like when you're playing Nintendo 64 or
Yeah.
any other thing, along the line?
Just thinking like this is the peak of like what entertainment can be for kids. Like, oh, this is the Sonic Adventure 2 battle. This is the best writing for a video game that there has ever been or ever will be.
Yeah.
Because to you as a like 11ish year old kid, that is everything. Because
Hmm.
that is what you pour your heart and soul and all your hours and time into.
Yeah. That's it's crazy. I mean, I used to spend I used to spend 6 hours playing Pokemon, the first Pokemon game on Game Boy, in front of
Mm.
my house. I I wish I could go back to a time like that where I just had hours and days where I just didn't have to do anything. And now, now it's different. But
And then we
hey.
think, oh, I've clocked into 300 hours on Skyrim. Okay. It doesn't quite have the same weight as it did when you were a kid.
Yeah, yeah. No, it doesn't. And I don't know. I mean, I played Persona 5 and I put in about 100 hours on that. But that was like over the course of like 3 months.
Mm.
I could knock out 100 hours in a week back in the day. you know, it was it's crazy.
Mm.
Okay. If you had superpowers, oh, I like this one. If you had
Mm.
superpowers from an unknown origin, would you rather allow the government to experiment on you, or not allow? What? Of
But
course,
the
I wouldn't allow
consequences
that.
are the blue consequences, if they experiment on you, is imprisonment and death. The red consequences is never knowing the truth behind your powers, being ostracized, and being hunted by the government. I'm assuming.
Red, easy.
Yeah, I'd still
Red.
go with the red.
That
Yeah.
sounds badass. Not knowing the truth, I don't care. Being ostracized, screw all you guys. I have powers. And being hunted,
Yeah.
come at me, bro. Those
Like,
are the responses I
just
have.
form the X-Men.
I would
They're used to that shit.
I'm already halfway there towards forming the X-Men. If you guys don't know.
Eh.
So, just come at me. I have powers. I mean, hopefully they're good powers, not like the ability to, grow my hair really fast or anything like that. Then I'd let them experiment on me. I could probably become a millionaire from that. Or I could just, donate my hair to cancer patients and stuff. That would be kind of cool. But hell no, not letting them experiment on me. They can hunt me as much as they want. Hopefully my powers will take care of that. All right, this is stupid.
Wait, what? A test of non-violence and historical bullying.
Wow.
Well,
I don't know enough about history to... What?
well, I don't much like pilgrims. If a pilgrim saw me, it probably would try to kill me.
What?
But I do like avocados.
Yeah, that's cool.
Avocado.
Yeah. Yeah, why punch the guy? He's dead now anyway. Screw it. He's long dead. Looks like everybody else is Wait. 808. You did 2,000 hours on what? Please clarify. Yeah, I love avocados. You could kind of make like butter with avocados if you have a soft one. It's pretty cool. I also found an interesting trick the other day. Do you guys eat yogurt?
Yeah.
If you take coconut milk, because I've stopped eating dairy. This is another health rant. I've stopped eating dairy, and you can take coconut milk and then take like a probiotic pill with like like a dry probiotic, and crack that thing open and mix it into the coconut milk, and it makes it into yogurt over like the course of a few days.
That's pretty cool.
Yeah,
How does it taste?
it's the one that I made is really, it's kind of tangy, but it tastes like Greek yogurt, but with a little coconut flavor. It's pretty good, and it gets a lot thicker than I was expecting too. It's like real, like legit yogurt. Okay, be a nerd or be a jock.
Nerd.
Yeah, I mean we're all nerds already, right?
Pretty much.
To
I don't know.
some
I think
extent.
I'd want to do something different.
Well, what does it mean
I've
for?
never been good at sports.
Do girls have jocks? I mean, are girls jocks?
Well,
Seems like, I don't know. I
there's
can't
a lot of
imagine a girl
athletic
being.
girls.
Yeah, I mean, I'm. That's what I'm thinking. Like, being an athletic girl, I've never heard of that being referred to as being a jock. I mean, because a jock is kind of, it's almost like a like a negative connotation to it. Because a jock is usually somebody who's kind of airheaded and a douche, but also has the advantages of being athletic and having strength and popularity and that kind of thing. I don't know.
I don't
It's
want to be an ass.
yeah. That's. I mean, it might not always carry that, but I don't know. I've never heard someone called a jock, and it's like it's not at least passive aggressively negative. Anyone who calls someone else a jock is probably kind of jealous of them in a way, in my experience.
Nerd can be taken that way also, though.
Yeah, I guess. But it's not like the nerd himself or herself. They're, somebody calling someone else a nerd is because that you kind of don't like the fact that the person is an outsider and that they're smarter than you and that they have interests that you don't understand. Yeah, it's not like, yeah, nerds are also asses, you know. It's not really, they're not
Well,
known for being that way. I mean, I'm sure millions of them are, but I don't know. I would
I
go
want to
with
be good
nerd.
at sports if I can be nice. That would be cool.
You know what? That's such an innocent and beautifully naive perspective. We'll go with that. I think that's
All
fair.
right.
It's sweet. Oh, look at that. Nerds. 61%. I don't think anybody really would really want to be the stereotypical nerd that's not already a nerd. Okay. Oh my God. This is awesome.
No, it's
This
This is
not.
awesome. This is awesome.
No, it's not. I'm
Yeah,
very protective of my hands.
This one is making me break
Oh my
character.
God.
I'm actually breaking character right now. All right. So, no, think about it. No hands or have a naked fat guy stalking you at all times. This is the best one I've ever seen. All the time.
You know,
This is the best
I'm
one
gonna go with
ever.
the red one.
So you would have a naked fat guy
This isn't fair.
all the time.
I have no problem defending myself. That's fine. But you're
Okay.
not gonna chop off my hands. Screw that.
Okay. You chop off your hands, no naked fat guy. You're good.
That naked guy ain't gonna be around me at all times. Believe me.
He
I'll
will
take care of that.
This if you agree
No.
to this, the universe
No,
will cause
no.
this to come into existence.
No.
You cannot overpower the fate of your future. It cannot be changed. This naked fat guy will be stalking you at all times.
No. I
You
can change my fate. I learned that.
not in the world of either.io. It doesn't matter what you do. You can move somewhere else. You can move across oceans. You can
And it would just
take
be
up
like
a
the thing from
nomadic
It
lifestyle.
Follows.
Exactly.
Oh my God. I
It'll
hated
just
that
a
movie.
naked fat guy will be It Follows you for the
Yep.
rest of your life.
Yep. And while you're asleep, he's just walking along. You took a plane to Brazil. He's walking along the bottom of the ocean. You know, he's completely impervious to the elements. He's able to go wherever you are, and he will get
Then I
there
guess-
eventually.
No. I'll be well traveled. I'm not getting rid of my hands.
Yeah.
Okay, well, hey, you're gonna. I hope you have some kind of form of income to pay for all the millions of dollars in travel expenses
Make
that
a
you're going to be
reality
racking
show
up.
about the naked fat guy who won't stop stalking.
Ah, now
There you go.
that's it. That's it. That's where
Okay.
that's where we have to go.
This is my point of logic. I would say red, yes to having the naked fat guy stalking you because you know how I feel about my hands. And then properly follow with yes, between cheaters and cops, I will then be featured on Cops because
Full circle.
I would have promptly fought back against my stalker and be dragged off in handcuffs because of it.
Well, you know what? I have this. All right, this is how it works in my mind. You have this stalker. No matter where you go in the world, he always continues to come towards you, like It Follows. So eventually, you're going to get fed up with that. You won't be able to handle it anymore. You're going to snap. You're going to start arming yourself. You're going to see this guy in your crosshairs with your 10x zoom, freaking sniper rifle that you purchased from all the money that you have left. You used it to buy this, $8,000 Barrett sniper rifle. Blow this guy's brains out. You see his head explode into a million pieces with a pink mist rising into the air above him. He falls down to the ground, crumpling down into a huge writhing mass of naked fat guy flesh. And 2 seconds later, you notice his body moving and slowly slithering back up to where you see the remains of the stump of his neck and partially exploded head. And you see it reforming slowly until the perfect fat guy face that's been stalking you for all these years is staring down at you once again. And then it all starts over. He takes that step towards you again. Thank you so much for that build up. That was great. That was great. If Mr. Davis says, "What if I'm that naked fat guy?" That changes. That actually changes nothing. Surprisingly, I will still run from you. And I mean, but you know what though? That just made me think. I take all that back about the sniper rifle and everything. Maybe the naked fat guy. Oh, you know what? Here, something else occurs to me. The naked fat guy. If you try to make friends with him, right? Eventually, you wait, and you wait for him to approach you. And like, you know what? I'm just going to talk to this guy. Maybe he's a nice guy. Maybe he just wants to be my friend. But he'll never actually approach you. His job in his universal purpose is to stalk you. So he'll come up to you. He'll come up to, within 10 or 20 feet of you, but then he'll probably just hide behind something and just watch you. He'll never go into the room that you're in. He'll never like walk up to you and, try to touch you or actually talk to you or engage you in any way. He'll just be, if you're in a toilet stall sitting on the toilet, you'll see his feet on the outside of the, just on the other side of the stall wall or outside the door. And then by the time you're done and you go to leave, he's gone because he's stalking you. He's not trying to meet you. He's stalking you. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, but also stalking implies like maybe they break into your house and take things of yours to put on their creepy wall, because stalkers tend to have a creepy wall. So I don't like the idea of someone going into my bathroom, stealing my hairbrush so they can use my stray hairs and add it to their collection, because that's no.
Yeah, and they just have a doll
I would
with
still
all of your
prefer to
body
have that
parts. Yeah, you'd
over
still
having
prefer
no
that.
hands.
Okay.
Yes.
So you don't mind a naked guy, sweaty, hairy, like Mr. Davis, and having a doll made of your hair, your toenail clippings, whatever else that he could find in your trash cans or anything else. That's what you're going to have to deal with.
I have very pretty hands.
I'm
Yes.
sure you do.
Good.
Pumpkin Joanne, that's a good idea. A story. The Return of the Naked Fat Guy. That is prime time. Mr. X Dreams original creepypasta coming soon, maybe, to a theater near you. I love this one. This is the best one ever. This is the best one.
Yep, absolutely.
I'm gonna just take a screenshot of this real quick because I'm gonna use this.
Yep.
I'm gonna use this somewhere. I know it. Let me see here. Don't I have the little snipping thing there? Hold on. There we go. Excuse me 1 second, guys, while I
That's all right.
While I save this. Hopefully, matter of fact, let me take this off of the. I don't want to clue people into anything that they shouldn't be seeing. So I just switched it off. I switched the stream off of the screen share for just a second. All right, here we go, and we're back. So, naked fat guy clicked. Wow. I'm surprised at how many people did that. Over 1.2 million. Man, I almost don't want to go. Wait, okay, look at that. It said we didn't see this part. It says you may not get any sort of replacement hands, and yep, the fat guy is always around. You can't hide or get rid of him. You know what? Eventually, eventually it won't even be that big of a deal because he's never going to like come and try to attack you or anything. He'll just be around. You won't be able to really even probably see him most of the time. It would be creepy, but eventually you're like, yeah, he's just there. He's not going. I guarantee you The universe will not allow this dude to attack me or harm me in any way. I don't think. You know, so maybe it's not so bad. Oh, yeah. Naked fat guy. The end of an era. All right. Last one, and then we'll get ready to get out of here. Rather
I'd go
toilet
with egg a
paper
house.
house or egg a house. This isn't a good last one. That other one should have been the last one. The naked fat guy one should have been the last one. I've never done either of these things, but I know, I mean, I own a home, and both of them would be extremely annoying. So, Nix, you said egg a house?
Yeah, I've done it. So it's, I don't know, toilet papering a house just seems like too much effort.
Well, I mean, when I think of toilet papering a house, I'm thinking like, if it rains, this is just going to be millions of bits of toilet paper stuck to your house, which would be horrendous. Egg, it's like a localized thing, you know, you clean off a few eggs and you're good. It does eat
Yeah.
away at the paint though, right?
Yeah,
Why,
it does.
why did you egg a house?
Because I was a kid and that's what we did. I don't know. It was just something to do. I mean, to be fair, since I've had my home, I've had my house egged. So it's okay. I'm
All
fine
comes
with it.
Yep.
Exactly.
Yeah, it's karma. Wouldn't it be crazy if the person who egged your house was you when you were a kid? And like you didn't know that that was your future house, and you had been, you know, transported through a time rift into the future. Yeah. Wow.
That'd be cool.
That would be kind of cool. If you just like look out your window and like just for a split second you see yourself running away into the distance and you know it's you. That's
I
sounds like a good story.
I probably have to go with toilet papering a house because it's cheaper to buy a lot of toilet paper than it is to buy a lot of egg.
Yeah.
And secondly, when it rains, if they don't get it all down before it rains, all that toilet paper is going to clog up the drains and the gutters. And there's one thing that adults hate, and it is cleaning the gutters of a house.
Yeah. Yep. I hate it so much that I've never even cleaned mine. It's probably bad, but whatever. All right. So, egg or toilet paper? Let's see. What did the chat say? We have a split decision here because I refuse to do either of these things because I'm a proud homeowner and I believe in karma. So
oh,
I
come on,
wouldn't.
you have to vote. That's the point
Okay.
of this game.
All right. You twisted my arm.
Yeah.
I don't like how
Do it.
pleased you were with that.
Do it.
I feel like I'm being like corrupted right now, like spiritually.
The egg is better. Seriously. It's like when it splats, it's so satisfying.
I see when I see an egg splatting, I think I should have eaten that egg. Like that's a waste of an egg. I don't think of it as like a satisfying thing. Usually when an egg splats and I see it, it's because I accidentally dropped it or it rolled off the counter when I was cooking eggs, and it pisses me off and it makes me very sad because it's a waste.
See, you're just thinking
it's a
like a
waste of an
grown
egg.
up.
Think
but
like a kid.
I am one. It's weird. I've never considered toilet papering or egging a house in my life, even as a kid. Maybe it's just me, the nerd in me. I've probably been a nerd for a lot longer than you guys have. Maybe that's it. I'd have to say toilet paper because toilet paper doesn't involve wasting food.
Hey.
All right, so we got 2-1. Everybody else is
What
saying
the internet
eggs.
says.
Yeah,
Let's see what the
There you
internet
go.
says as a whole.
there we go.
Oh.
Well, that's pretty well split. Mr. Davis, what had your mind blown there? I think it was probably the glitch in the Matrix situation. Let's see here. Yeah, a lot of people are saying eggs. Yep, and hey, you don't like it when your car gets egged or your house get egged now, do you? All right, let's see one more. you rather have to learn how to walk again, or have to learn about every date in history and why they were important? Wow.
Um,
That's kind of interesting.
Like, if they're saying every date, are they assuming like every minute holiday? Because rediscovering Christmas would
Mhm.
actually be kind of incredible.
Hmm.
And like experiencing it for the first time.
Christmas. Well, that holiday has a pretty discombobulated past as it
Oh yeah,
is.
like the history of it's all over the place. But as
Hmm.
an adult, having to learn how to walk again,
Yeah, and learning how to walk
that's
again. Yeah.
a monumental task.
Hmm.
that and it's painful.
Mm.
Yeah. Well, I mean, I wonder. It's not like saying, "Hey, you get into an accident and your spine gets severed and reattached, and you have to, okay, hold on a second. Learning how to walk previously involved
Mm.
being in some sort of accident that temporarily disabled your ability to walk. Okay,
Okay, so
and
this is
this
talking
is
like spinal injury or something like
yeah,
that.
yeah, and then the history is from AD to present. So the year 0 to present. If someone supernaturally has the ability to tell me everything that happened from the year AD to present, I want to know. I want to
I'm working
know that. Yeah,
on it.
yeah,
Just let me go through my archives, I'll get my books together, and then we can sit down and have a nice chat.
yep. I'll just be Facebook posting everything that I learn every day. Everybody else will know it. Be good to go. Or Twitter. That'd be cool if you can have everything in tweet format, like every day since 0 AD in tweet format. Like, what's the most pertinent thing that day for every single day? That would be like probably 150,000 tweets, but it would be worth following that person. Hmm. Wow, Mr. Davis, you said blue, huh? You want to be in an accident and sever your spine and have to relearn how to walk? That's intense. What else? Let's see. Yeah, I would definitely rather just learn. I mean, it could be an audiobook or somebody
Mm.
just calling me up and saying, "Hey, on this date, this happened." So just remember that. Hmm. So that's a deep one. That's a deep thought there. All right, Paula, you need to go to sleep, and so does everybody else. And you guys, everyone who's watching right now, as soon as this is done, after you subscribe to Stephanie Swan Quills and Penny Dreadful Moment, aka Nyx, then you are all to go to sleep immediately. That is a direct order. All right, guys. Well, Steph, thank you so much for coming and hanging out with us for the past 2 hours and 44 minutes.
It's been an absolute pleasure. I would love to do this again in the future.
Oh, you will if you want. If, as long as you have the desire to, you'll
Yes.
be here again, and I'll definitely plan another UK time frame stream. Maybe a couple months down the line, and add that to the rotation because it's just not fair for people over there that love listening to us just as much as the next person, and they have to stay up till 3 in the morning or 4 in the morning to participate in these things. I'm so glad a bunch of you guys came out. There's a lot more people than I was expecting.
Mm.
And you guys great in the chat. Everybody's contributing and being cordial with one another, and we appreciate that. Nyx, I'm glad you were able to make it, and you
Woo-hoo.
know, come through. You added your own special spice to the mix, which I appreciate, and made it feel even more familiar than because
Mhm.
I don't know if Steph, if you realize this, like ever since like this is like my probably my 10th stream, and
Mhm.
Nyx has been with me for every single one of them except for like the very
Really
first one.
awesome.
Yeah, like I just randomly one day just said, "Hey, you want to do this with me?" And I could use a little help with the chat and all this stuff. And every, no matter what, pretty much as long as it's physically possible for her to do it, she always comes through for us, and we all appreciate that. So
Oh, well, thank you.
yeah, thanks for popping on here, Nix. I appreciate it. Do you guys want to say anything real quick before we cut out?
Yeah, if you like the kind of stories that I do, classics and contemporary horror stories, then yeah, check out my channel and subscribe if you like what you see. I am planning something special for Halloween, so keep an eye out for that. And again, thank you so much for having me, Mr. Extremes. And Nix, it was lovely to finally speak to you and meet you.
Oh, thank you. It was nice to talk to you too.
All right, guys, you know what to do. Let me see. Code word. What is okay? The code word for tonight. You can, if you make it here, all the way at the end of this 2 hour and 45 minute stream, type something regarding naked fat guy in the comments section,
Oh God.
and anything surrounding a naked fat guy, and I will know that you listened the whole way through, and I appreciate you extra especially for that, if that's even a phrase. All right, guys. Well, thanks again to my lovely co-hosts for tonight, Stephanie Swan Quills, Nix, aka Penny Dreadful Moment. This has been Mr. X Dreams, live from South Florida. Good night, my friends, and may your nights be full of dreams.